condoms give money to the Labour Party and other people.
There is that.
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds like it's all going to be going on.
It's obviously very and banning the council elections, unbelievable. I mean, authoritarian, unbelievable what's going on.
Anyway, all of that's going to be
coming up. And we just
go
along with it.
We do. That's all coming up with Ash and Andre. There's going to be no sheep here on Talk. I'm going to be back on Monday for Drive from 4 o'clock. Yeah, so hopefully you'll join me for that. And I'll leave you with news that Pingu is making a return to our screens. I can sense your excitement. Woo! I know, it must be Christmas time because there's London double-page articles on that. Anyway, Ash and Andre are next. I'm back next week for Drive.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Well, apparently, Freezing This Christmas is not going to be played by the BBC, despite the fact that it has stormed into the charts. Amazing hypocrisy by the BBC, because they did play, admittedly, only 45 seconds of Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, when Margaret Thatcher died, although I have to say, I think given that she was humourless, but she would have found that quite funny. But I find it particularly pathetic. But it's amazing the way that the political left have tried to circle the wagons to protect and defend Keir Starmer's failing government. Also, we're going to be talking in this show a little bit about Sharia courts, simply because I have very mixed emotions on them. And I'll explain why, and people might be quite shocked. I think it was in 1996 that the government brought in this idea of having arbitration, formalised arbitration. It's the reason that Judge Rinder can exist as a TV show in the United Kingdom, because you both agree to the arbitration based on certain terms and conditions, and it becomes legally binding in of itself. I've no problem with that. My problem, I think, with Sharia courts comes that the first court was founded in 1982, long before that law came in. And the suggestion is that people are not going into the arbitration in a fair manner. They're not equal within the eyes of the court. And therefore, well, you don't have to be equal within the eyes of the court. You just have to not have been coerced into going into the process in the first place. Well, I'll tell you what a great thing to just start with Andrew Eborn on, who is a barrister. Andrew, look, you've heard why I'm I've got mixed emotions about Sharia courts. What's your view?
I think you're right, and I think when you're when in Rome do as the Romans do, and this is what we should look at, the English law which governs what happens here, and the particular things, and it tends to happen in relationships with Sharia law. It's to do with when people get divorced, the women's rights and so on and so forth. Men can get divorced by simply saying, I divorce you 3 times, apparently, but women, they have to go to this court to get that done.
There are examples of, and I'm not joking, brothels in Islamic countries where you can shout, I'm divorced 3 times.
Yes.
Then marry the hooker in the Islamic process, which takes about 3 minutes, and then divorce her again.
Have you tried this? Is this like a confession, Andre?
No, actually, I think because you're allowed multiple wives. Let me get this right.
You are allowed.
How many? Isn't it 4 though?
You can marry the hooker in the brothel and then shout, "I divorce you 3 times," and that's the end of it.
It is interesting. They also have these little apps about drop downs when people are doing wills and so on and so forth. And it has a drop down for number of wives, and you can say how many you've got. And there's certain things. So the female doesn't get as many rights as the male under the wills and so on and so forth. So there's all of that.
What about a divorce settlement? How does that work in the Sharia?
Well, very badly is the honest answer.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I've got mixed emotions again. When France banned the burqa,
yes,
what they said was, look, first of all, you should have the right to wear whatever you want, which would be my instinct, and I imagine the instinct of you two as well, and most people watching. But what they then said was, the big problem is 90% of women who wear the full burqa in France, when surveyed, were told a surveyor who'd done it in secret that they didn't want to wear it and felt obliged to wear it. Now, if you and I got married, I mean, in Sharia law, that'd be quite difficult.
It'd be very difficult.
Not if you wore burqas, you might get away with it.
But if I was married to somebody and I decided that I wanted to go through arbitration, which was manifestly unfair to me because that was the rules of my religion, as long as we were both happy and both went into it without being coerced, that's fine. The fear is the coercion element.
And also, there's so many loopholes in that sort of argument, because you can turn and say it's all about enforcement. If you're going to turn around and say, OK, we've agreed that we'll do this, but actually the circumstances have changed and that's why we're going to change it in that sort of way. So you're right. We need to look at all those sort of things.
What about Islamic mortgages, though?
That's why you're not allowed to charge interest, and so there's a way around that.
But is it beneficial then? You get a mortgage with you still have to pay some other way, don't you?
You do have to pay some other ways. And this is about fudging it in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's express what I think most of the viewers and listeners are going to say. They're going to say that arbitration, even you have a right. I suspect they'll say we don't want any Sharia courts for the following reason. Not that arbitration is a bad idea, but arbitration that is without the UK law is something that is unacceptable. So if you do something that's generally in keeping with UK law, as an example, I defame you, and rather than us going to the High Court, we decide to go through arbitration where I pay you some compensation that doesn't involve us both.
I prefer that to us getting married, by the way.
Why don't we get Judge Rinder as a compromise to do the Sharia court? Because
what's interesting, there have been 85 of these courts have opened throughout the UK, and this is the concern. You're turning around and saying, look, the rule of law should be that which exists in the relevant country, i.e. here, and looking at that, and to what extent this is now being ousted as a result of that.
But how different is it to go into marriage guidance with your local vicar or priest?
Well, quite substantially different, as we say, because of the divorce ways and so on and so forth.
There is a Jewish one, isn't there?
Yeah,
but I think you still have to go through the registry office here as well. I think so. It's a double.
The number of people. I mean, this raises the next issue, doesn't it? My younger brother said that he'd never marry his partner because the terms and conditions of civil marriage are so unreasonable in the United Kingdom that actually, the example he gave is that he feels that there are financial benefits for falsely accusing the father of abusing the children, because in balance of probabilities and all this sort of thing. So, but fundamentally, I don't think there are that many Christians who have gone through religious marriage but not signed the civil papers, whereas it has to be said there are a fair number of Jews and a large number of Muslims.
I think in Judaism they do sign that you still go through the actual
and all the whole thing it devalues, if you like, the vows, and this is well like prenups. You're turning around and saying you go in there saying, well, sign this. If it doesn't work, we're going to work that out. This is how we're going to split up the assets. But the reality is you then go and say, till death us two part. Well, I don't really mean it.
Do you remember when Mick Jagger married Jerry Hall and he said, oh no, because we did it on a desert island and it doesn't count. But there was a big...
Absolute big hoo-ha about that sort of stuff. It does call into the whole concept, bring back love, that's what I say.
But the problem is, Andrew, and my understanding is that whilst you don't talk about your family in the media, you've been happily married for many years.
Well, married.
Very happily married.
Well, that's my understanding. But what? Oh God! What he just said. Is it a woman? Yes, it is a woman.
Yes, it is.
It is now since last Tuesday.
Right, he's just a bit public school camp. That's all it is. Right.
Yes.
But the reality is, for most of human history, until death do us part, was about 7 years.
Well, there you go, 7-year itch and all that.
But it was killing each other. But I mean, you marry somebody. If you marry somebody in 1750, age 20, the likelihood of still being married to them, age 35, was quite low.
So just abandon the vows then. I mean, then work on that sort of basis. Don't go and lie in front. I mean, people have different religious views and so on and so forth. But for those who are going to church and swearing in front of their God on that sort of basis, then don't do it. If you're a prenup works on that basis, so we recognise that most marriages don't work out. Relationships don't work out. But then you need to look at the whole sort of institution of marriage and what that means.
But I could argue with you. I could say the purpose of my prenuptial agreement is that I genuinely believe in the vows that I'm taking. However, I'm worth so much money that the vows themselves could be undermined by my wealth.
So what you should do in church then? You should say, "Till death is subject to my being wrong until I don't like you anymore."
No.
But that's exactly what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
It takes away the temptation from the wife to do a runner.
That's exactly right.
Is that right?
That's.
But
so it actually strengthens the vow in the church.
I think the central point. The central point for look, I don't believe what I'm saying, but I am arguing it nonetheless. Just so people hear the argument. That the purpose of a prenup is to say, right, I, as the less wealthy partner, am not doing this in order to get your money. And for the wealthy partner, he turns around. Normally it's a he, so I don't want to be sexist. He turns around and he says, the reality is, I think this marriage is likely to last longer if there is no financial incentive of 300 million to dump me in the bin every time I don't do the dishes.
Well, there you go.
It's a bit like bullseye, isn't it? Bust fair, you don't want to tempt them too much. You want them to gamble to the last round.
So just make everything contractual then. You don't need to go to church and lie in front of everybody, because that's what it is.
Well, in that case, Andrew, what about this? I remember writing to Justine Greening, my Member of Parliament at the time, when gay marriage came in. And I got a standard reply, but I had actually written, I said I wanted to talk about gay marriage. I'd actually written to suggest abolishing civil marriage altogether, on the basis that the government should not be the regulator of love, and what should happen is churches, synagogues, mosques, whatever, Sikh temples should be the people that decide what a marriage is by their own terms and conditions, and then the courts could intervene when it's a manifestly unfair settlement.
Well, it's an interesting concept, but
they never agree to same-sex marriage, would they? The religious
and that's the thing. But you're right. People should not regulate love, and what is regulating when things have fallen down. They're regulating the relationship because there's a financial and so on and so forth. And you're going to have various people. They're building houses together, and they're building homes on that sort of basis. What happens when things go wrong?
But it wasn't about love. It was originally about ownership, wasn't it?
So presumably, and you're not the first barrister to have said this, and I'm not putting words into your mouth, but I suspect what you... I suspect the reason that you supported civil partnerships was because the courts were being clogged up with gay couples. One had died and it was very unclear who owned what property. Because actually there was an underlying thing from the Law Society and indeed the Bar Association, well, the temples, saying that, the Bar Council it's called, of course, they're saying that, look, the number of court cases that are going on over the death of a gay partner has become untenable.
And it's horrible. And what tends to happen, well, there's a number of things. One, there should be equality for everybody in a relationship and make sure that people are looked after when somebody dies, and that's the reason you get these laws in place. But also, the courts are there to... Basically, justice is supposed to be blind. It's supposed to be the same treatment for everybody. What tends to happen in divorce is people just hate each other so much. They want to throw so much dirt, and they get their lawyers, really expensive lawyers. And I always talk about the cartoon Jay Bright from the 18th century, which depicts 6 litigation on a cow, and there's words written on the cow. The plaintiff is pulling the horns of the cow, the defendant's pulling the tail, and the lawyers are milking it.
Yeah.
That's the classic definition of that sort of thing. What happens in horrible things like divorces is people hate each other so much, they want to sling dirt at each other through the lawyers. It's incredibly expensive, but the result will invariably be the same, because that's what the courts try and do.
But I mean, there's a presenter here who famously, you know, his wife, they got a divorce, and they said, well, she'd helped him with his football career, and so she was entitled to half of everything, including his future earnings forever.
There you go. And I think you would argue everything, and lawyers can. That's
I've got a good friend of mine who went to a clerk.
Yes.
Went to be a trainee clerk at a divorce lawyer's firm.
Yes.
And he said, this woman walked in, and my mate said, I only lasted one day because I walked out on the grounds it was immoral. He said, I walked in, and the woman sat down, and she goes, oh, well, you know, now my youngest son's gone to university, we've decided to divorce, me and my husband, and it's quite easy because he wants a holiday home in France, and we've got a little flat in central London, and I want the big house in Cheshire. Yes. It's all going to be very easy. Yes. I just need you to screw up the paperwork. And the divorce lawyer went, yeah, no problem, wrote it all down. And he said, but just before you go, he took her by the hand, he said, if I was your husband, I'd never let you go. Oh. And the tears went, and he opened up the drawer and put the Kleenex out, and written under the Kleenex was, watch and learn.
There you go.
6 hours later, she was ready for war.
Oh.
Unbelievable. That is the way some of these people behave. 6 hours she was there, sobbing and crying.
Meanwhile, the meter's running at the lawyer's office.
No, and that's what I say. Actually,
that mistake. That mistake. Yes. Had she said, thank you very much, and walked out, she'd have saved £100,000.
Oh, no, absolutely. And as I say, the biggest lesson, anybody watching this, loads of millions of people around the world watching this, what they should learn is actually try and resolve things while you're talking to each other. That's how it works at the beginning.
In that case, we've gone back to the beginning. Doesn't that justify Sharia courts?
Oh, no, so you're working on that sort of principle. So when things go wrong, this is what you're always talking about in any contract. I've negotiated zillions of contracts where you basically say, once we've done it, spent hours and hours doing it, try to cover every eventuality. Yes. So if a problem happens, we go to the thing, that's what we agreed, we're going to do that. You should hopefully never have to look at the contract again, because the relationship works. And that's what I would recommend in that situation.
OK, well, look, your calls are interesting to us. We'll even play some of them. It's 0344 499 1000. Do you think that Sharia courts are un-British? Do you believe that there is danger associated with bringing in a culture that is so foreign and having their courts dominating the arbitration of 100,000 weddings in the United Kingdom? I have to say, I think it's fair enough to have some form of arbitration. Whether it's appropriate to have Sharia courts as part of that process is an interesting question. But 0344 499 1000, calls just charged at your normal rate. By the way, the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice, spoke about Sharia law at the Reform UK conference.
We actually need to legislate that we do not want and allow any Sharia law in the United Kingdom anywhere. That's not who we are. It's not our gig. If that's your gig, there are plenty of other places where you can go and enjoy that. That's absolutely fine. That's freedom of choice. But this is the point. This is where we're at now, is that our democracy is being attacked.
Look for the light.
Well, I'm not sure whether our democracy is being attacked. I'm sure that
just getting my wires out, man.
Asher has disappeared. Right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to be still talking to Andrew Eborn. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk backing reform. He can tell us. You can tell us your story about Elon Musk, because we haven't heard it before, have we? No, come on. Hold on to your horses. It's a worldwide exclusive coming up from Andrew Eborn straight after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
I think everybody knows about the signature move.
Well, they do.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so, here we go. Andrew Eborn's with us. He's a barrister and futurist.
Thank you.
Elon Musk might be donating to reform. Andrew, I understand you've got a connection with Elon Musk. What is it?
Well, that's a bit tenuous, but no. So I do a show called The Andrew Eborn Show, available on all good platforms, more platforms than Paddington. And Elon Musk, his wonderful father, based in South Africa, is a regular on the show. And what I like about it is that we have an extended period of time. We can unpack all the stories that you hear. And they always say, if you don't read the newspaper, you're ill-informed, and if you read it, you're misinformed. Well, this is what we do. We unpack the stories.
Did he say it started with PayPal? Didn't know it would come.
And he sings. He's great.
You don't remember me, do you?
He's a half Scouser. Do you know his mum was a Scouser?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful. So we unpack all of those glorious stories. We had a look, and we spoke about the 100 million at that stage, which is a figure plucked out of the air. And there's a couple of things that people misunderstand about that sort of side. It doesn't necessarily mean he'll win the election, although undoubtedly Elon and the bromance and that has blossomed between him and Trump has undoubtedly helped him win.
How old is Elon on average?
On average, 52.
He's about 8 days younger than me, I don't know.
He is,
because
June 71. He doesn't have the same suntan as you.
No.
Because he's
on his third face, isn't he?
At all. I like Elon.
He's like a male Lizzie Cundy.
Well, no, thank you. What I love, I'm a musketeer, and I've said this for a long time. Everybody likes to knock him, and they always say the difference about America and over here. We resent success over here. In America, they celebrate it, and this is why Trump was so popular. This is why Elon's so popular. What I loved about Elon, he was the first person to really come out on Saturday Night Live and talk about his autism and how that is his differently wired brain. And I spoke to Errol about this, and he said, look, when he was at school, they thought he was backwards, and they were going to send him to a special school and so on and so forth. And if he hadn't been encouraged...
But in South Africa, they were just quite against anyone, weren't they? I mean, it wasn't a panacea of diversity.
Well, I think this is the problem. And people misunderstood about sort of autism. And people know more about it. I always applaud anybody in the public eye who talks about their challenges, because it means those who are watching and so on and so forth, those who have children who have challenges with autism, they're inspirational characters.
He's the same as Errol. They're like chips off the old. He's a chip off the old block, isn't he?
Just like him.
But
he
sounds like him in the way
he does. He's got the same laugh.
I mean, is he autistic a bit as well, Errol? He's an inventor and everything.
He's a fantastic inventor. What I loved about the whole thing.
Can I just...
It's a woke rabbit.
Can I just ask when I said...
Just one of those vodkas, Andre.
I said, can I have some water?
Careful of the electric.
They've come up with 5 pints.
He has 5 pints. It's got to be good.
I'll tell you what, I used to drink 18 pints of water. William Hague.
He's got brothers and sisters,
He's
Elon,
got many.
and they're millionaires. But I asked Errol who was he proudest of. He wouldn't say, but it's obviously Elon, isn't it?
He's proud of all of them, is what he said. Well, no, but Kimball, who's the other son, he's a few hundred
He's got
million.
about 10 sons, hasn't he?
He's got a few. His littlest one is only 7.
Just to be clear, just a matter of interest.
Yes.
Are the other children wealthy because they've also invested with Elon? Or are they...
They're successful in their own right, aren't they?
So Kimball is a big restaurateur.
Right.
He's about 100+ million from the various restaurants. He owns some of the finest things.
And he invented the e-book, the Kimball, didn't he?
Because isn't Nicholas Cowell, Simon Cowell's brother, worth more than Simon Cowell?
Well,
because he's a property developer.
Oh, he is a property developer, and we were talking about TV show.
When I first moved to London, I had a mate work for Nicholas Cowell in St John's Wood. He had an estate agent right next to Gary Lineker, so he was doing very well, much better than Simon. And then when Simon made a load of money, they invested and bought like big properties. But there's another brother, Tony, who's the oldest one, who just sort of, I think he's a cobbler in Cornwall.
Well, a cobbler in Cornwall, and I'll tell you what, and it's really important.
But it's not unusual. It's not unusual. Before you say that, it's not unusual for success to be bigger for younger children than for older children. Yeah. And I think personally, I mean, in the old days, the eldest child would get all the estate.
Well, Elon's
anyway.
the eldest child.
Yeah. So what normally happens, or most people say, is that you know, parents just get better at being parents the longer it goes on.
No, it's
like
not
with the eldest.
No, it gets
People
worse.
relax. So
No,
what
the
happens?
first one, you read to them and you do everything, you read to them in bed. The second and third one, go, oh, forget it. And it's happened with a mate of mine, and the top kid went to Oxford and this and that, and they sort of feel a bit guilty because...
Well, I come from a family of 4. I have a brother and 2 sisters. And
so you're the
happens,
second?
I was the third. So what happens is you basically have to fight a bit more if you're the younger one.
Well, the middle one's the worst, apparently. You're the 2 mid, so you had 2 middling people.
But
the middle one's not the worst.
No, they have the hardest time, I mean.
I think it varies, and people are so obsessed with money. That's not the only degree of success. I know people who are incredibly wealthy and those who are real paupers. The reality is success comes from...
Well, Elon Musk is only the richest man in the world because of his inventions and pioneering. People going about, that's not the thing.
I think most people would prefer to be worth a couple of quid rather than be Elon Musk.
Well, that's the other thing we spoke about is his lifestyle. Because Elon actually, if you're controlling that many companies, he has his meals sort of brought.
He doesn't sleep as well, doesn't he?
Exactly. He's not going holidaying all the time. You're not sitting back and
24 hours you've got to be on.
It's like the boss of this company. People go, oh, isn't it amazing that she's got a chauffeur-driven car? Oh, the reason she's got a chauffeur-driven car is so that she can work in the back.
Yes.
Because basically she can't take work calls on the train.
Well,
so that's the reason.
Absolutely, and they're trying to keep up with the Speaker of the House of Commons because they've got to travel a lot more. You've got to work on that sort of basis. No, you need to look at the sort of lifestyle. For me, it's about happiness, not just about money. And especially at this time of year, there are lots of people, and there's that sort of false sense of you've got to be happy around this sort of period. There are a lot of people who are very miserable about things, and I think looking at that sort of stuff, happiness can come from the simplest things. You know, just walking outside, enjoying the country air,
the simplest pleasures.
It's true.
Apparently, it's about 60, 70 grand is the Goldilocks amount of earning. Too much in it, you have problems, and too little, not. But apparently, it's about 70, 80 grand.
But I find
that's the optimum.
Oh, is that right?
I find that I think that's a difficult figure in the United Kingdom, simply because there will be people watching and listening to this show for whom 50 grand will be an unbelievable fortune. And there's some people who will live in parts of the country where they're on 100.
That's the average wage in America, and we were equal with America in 2007. Now it's £50,000.
And that's what you buy. In South Africa, it's like a fraction of that, and you've got a much better lifestyle. Actually, I know virtually everybody I know would trade a healthy lifestyle for money. And then when you reach a certain age, you'd much rather have your health than just a shed load of money. And I think you can find happiness in so much better things. I think...
well, you can move up north. You don't need much up there.
What 2025 should be, we've lived in such a horrible period.
Yeah.
I hope that in 2025 things can be settled. I do think that Trump will help bring us closer to world peace than we had beforehand. And even if you didn't want to vote for Trump, the good thing is he probably will bring it because all the other people...
with force.
I'm going to ask you, in the last 2 minutes of you on this show, I want to ask you this.
Is that it?
That's it. Have they not told you?
I want to ask you this.
Yes.
Is it right now that if Syria becomes a sensible country, that Syrian refugees should return to Syria? Is claiming refugee status, it should morally, not legally, morally, should claiming refugee status in Britain entitle you and your family to live in Britain forever, even when there's no problem in your own country?
I think, as you say, it depends on the relevant circumstances. People who come over here because they were threatened, they couldn't come to home, and that's the reason they were given a safe house over here, eating into resources and services. As soon as that threat has gone, going back would make sense. So that as a headline thing. Looking at the practicalities of that is what you need to look at. Turning around, is there a home there anymore? What's going to happen when they go back, and so on and so forth? I always think what we forget when we look at all these statistics, behind each and every one of those statistics is a human life, and we need to look at that and be sensitive to that sort of side as well.
Whichever country it was, I forget, where people had claimed asylum from that country to the United Kingdom, and it might have been Sudan, I can't remember. And then the minute that they got their British citizenship, they immediately went on holiday in Sudan. The irony was they did have to be rescued because it was dangerous.
But that's the point. No, you're right. As soon as the threat has gone,
they're already
got to work on as a headline.
Do you remember when they smashed up Palmyra?
Yes.
This is the same people who now have come back, and we've given them 50 million. So they're going back to Palmyra to smash it up. They beheaded the 80 80-year-old archaeologist who ran it because he wouldn't tell them where the stuff is, and they executed about 50 people. They got 10, 11-year-olds to come and shoot them in the back of the head, and we've just given them 50 million quid to go and go, well, now they run the country, they're all right. There's going to be loads. It's going to be terrible out there, isn't it? And we're now giving them money and recognising.
I think it's just
a bit like UNRWA and everything like that.
It's unpacking, and I think I would always urge people to think about the lives on all sides, whatever your views are.
They're murdering the Kurds, and the Christians are getting subjugated already. And
yeah, I think as soon as you're talking about human lives and you personify that, that's the real scandal.
The reality is, I think we're going to have to do something about this whole refugee situation, simply because what people are now doing.
Yeah.
So there's two things. There is the threat in your own country. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you have a right to leave. And then it's kind of the shopping for where's the nicest place to go to, which I think is illegitimate.
Yeah.
And I think, and I keep saying this, so apologies for repeating it time and time again, but little Moldova, population 3 million, took 350,000 Ukrainian refugees. They had taken no refugees the year before the war from anywhere, and the reason is because they were the poorest country in Europe. People didn't want to go to Moldova because it was poor. But of course, when genuine refugees come along, they immediately do want to come to Moldova because it was also Russian-speaking. It's next door. They're close to America.
Great value for money.
And it's amazing. It's amazing the way that that genuine refugees from Ukraine have behaved differently. But the other point I keep making to people is there was the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh with Armenians in what is now Azerbaijan, and the other situation potentially you could have had with Israel as well. You could have had with Ukraine on a much larger scale. Had we needed to take refugees from Israel being overrun, we couldn't have taken them because the space will have been filled up with people who are not refugees. Similarly, had there been a genocide of Christians in Nagorno-Karabakh, we wouldn't have been able to take them. And of course, with Ukrainians, I mean, if the Ukrainians had come, we would have come nowhere near being able to accommodate them. And the reason is because we've got people from Albania, and we've got people from Iran, and we've got people from all these countries where there's no war.
Yeah, and absolutely. And so what you need to look at is make sure that the system is right and that people don't abuse it, because there are abuses in the system.
Well, it's meant to be for subjugated people, not just anyone who's got a war in the country.
There are also people who are genuinely suffering, and it's those who are genuinely suffering that we owe it to do the right thing.
But
those who abuse it, we should absolutely stamp it out.
But if I turn around tomorrow, I mean, imagine there was a war in the United Kingdom. I mean, what most of us would do.
Not too far to imagine.
Well, that's right. Most of us would go to the Irish Republic or France. The Isle of Man would have lots of people. Jersey and Guernsey. For 100,000 people to go, Tokyo seems nice.
It does seem nice. Let's come back. It's glorious. And it's cheap now.
They had their
200 yen to the pound. I've had best food in the world. Best Italian, best Indian, best French. Food is in Japan. I love it. And they massage the cows and things like that until...
That's a bit...
What sort of massage?
Wagyu, isn't it?
You like... Wait, have you
no, not Wagyu.
Happy ending. They milk them for a happy ending.
No,
that is morally wrong.
No.
What's wrong with milking a cow?
Happy ending. Get out of it. $10.
Filthy mind.
It's not my filthy mind. Andrew Bourne, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Have a brilliant festive season.
And I just want to say to you, thank you for all the support you've given to the show over the year. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. It's our last one before Christmas. What are you doing for Christmas, apart from nothing and refusing?
I mean, Christmas... I'm here with James Wales, so make sure just for an hour we're going to do a little... And Andrew Eborn's going to come in, Elvis Schmelvis. We're going to be at various times. They're going to replay it and, you know, so you can have it reiterated. But at 1 p.m. and then at 10 p.m. you can watch it when you really... K-Light, and then I think I'm off the 26th Boxing Day, and I think I'm back. You doing the 26th?
I am doing the 26th. Yeah, I tried
Double bubble.
I tried to get
with Danielle.
I tried to get Danielle to come on the 26th, but
I wonder what she's doing now.
I didn't refuse.
I can hear her.
Oh, you said yes?
No, I wanted
you
to
haven't
come.
Introduced
It's the
her.
one day that I'm going to.
But I thought you said you were doing it on Zoom.
You can't do it in Saudi.
Yeah, I did do it on Zoom.
Yeah, come for you.
Right, can we just stop?
I've agreed to that.
Right,
yeah.
can we...
That's good. It's fine. Yeah, Zoom's fine.
Right, can we stop? Right, shut up, everyone. Shut up. Right. Hello and welcome back. This is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. So, Asher, this is the last show before Christmas.
I'm going to do a show with James Wales at 1 p.m. and 10 p.m. and then I think you're on with Danielle. I wonder where she is now.
I'm joined by Danielle Nichols on Boxing Day. Danielle,
and she's here now to promote it.
Hi, yeah, we're on Boxing Day. I forgot I'd agreed.
So we're gonna do something that I think is going to aid in diplomatic relations. You're going to do Christmas from Saudi Arabia. That is going to be...
It's illegal, isn't it?
That is going to be...
No, it's okay because in the confines of our compound, I'm allowed to practice my own religion.
That's going to be expert
in your
level.
Compound,
that's it. It's Christmas in Riyadh with Danielle Nichols.
It's illegal.
She's just having a great time.
It's illegal to go to the airport and take Christmas presents.
Yeah, it is. And they'll take
it's like drugs, weapons, and Christmas presents are. If it's a birthday present, you're all right.
You're all right, but if it's a Christmas present...
Why don't you say it's a birthday present? My child's called Jesus.
Exactly.
Good idea. That's a loophole, that is.
As you show them the passport for all the kids.
My mum used to do a birthday cake for Jesus.
Oh.
We used to sing Happy Birthday.
Oh, that's lovely.
What, and then eat Jesus' cake?
It's a bit...
Well, I've got a joke for you. What's this?
I don't know.
Jesus biting his nails.
That's awful.
Ken in London.
That's
It's going to go. Anyway, Anna McGovern, what are you doing for Christmas?
Well, with family, and then I'm actually on talkTV on Boxing Day morning.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Who are you doing that with?
I can't remember the presenter. That's really bad. I should know the presenter is.
It's not my brother, is it? Is it my brother?
10:30 a.m.
Is it Johnny Gould?
Yes, it is Johnny Gould.
That's me.
That's the one.
Yeah, she got there.
Tune in Johnny Gould on Boxing Day, yeah.
And she's very festive already because she's in red. But I did bring this.
What is it? Your Santa knickers?
Yeah.
Well, most people are listening, Danielle.
She's put a Christmas hat on for those listening on the radio.
Yeah, because it was no sexy Santa outfits, was it? So it has to be a Santa hat.
You weren't allowed to do sex.
I'm not allowed to be sexy. What is she? Sexy Mother Christmas or something? I don't know what it is. Sexy Santa. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you be Mrs. Claus?
Mistress Claus.
I'd have the
Get me claws on that. I'd love to get my claws on that. That'd be damn gorgeous, wouldn't it? Yeah, little titties. Lovely.
Julie says, have you been on holiday, Ash? You look sunburnt. Someone else said we look like Andrew Eborn look like a Neapolitan ice cream. No, it's because we have to do the makeup ourselves.
I think it's fair to say I look a little pale today, don't I?
You do look a little.
Do you think I should get darker makeup?
Yes.
The zombie look, I always think, or the Undertaker's look.
You need some bronzer. You just need a bit of bronzer.
He looks embalmed.
Yeah.
The Undertaker. I remember, I know it's an awful thing to say, but my grandmother used to say, "Hey, you're so pale, you look like a corpse."
Was she Welsh?
When she was dead, I went in. I did say to her.
No, you said no. He looks like a corpse now.
Oh.
To be fair, he looks like a corpse now. But it was. Well, I mean, I don't think she was overly bothered at the time.
She'll be fine about it. She must have had a good sense of humour. She was related to you.
She did not have a good sense of humour. She did not have a good sense of humour.
Is that from your dad? Is it that?
No. My dad's mum was Greek. She nicknamed somebody had mahogany legs. I'm not having my son marrying her with her big old mahogany legs.
Why? What's that mean?
Because she had big fat legs like a table.
mahogany is a lovely,
They're called
beautiful wood.
cankles. Instead of ankles and calves, cankles. Yeah, it means there's no...
Straight down.
Yeah.
Straight
She
down.
came into my house with those thigh-high boots, so dirty.
She'd have loved me, wouldn't she?
She was robust. It's fair to say she was robust on a range of issues. But her favourite thing to watch at Christmas.
Go on.
And you ready for this? For the way that you could troll this woman. Her favourite one was Michael Barrymore. That Michael Barrymore, he's a lovely man. I'd watch Michael, he bought his mother a house, what a lovely man. Then he was outed as a homosexual. And I said to her, Gran, did you watch Michael Barrymore? She was, I wouldn't watch that filthy beast. I wouldn't watch it. What he does to other men, no. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't watch it. That filthy beast.
Dreams destroyed.
I said, you used to like him. I never liked him. I always said, Terry, turn that filthy beast off. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't have it in the house. No, not at Christmas. No. Okay.
Well, it's very controversial now to be a Christian, isn't it?
At
Especially
Christmas.
you celebrate Christmas, yeah, from what I've been researching, yeah.
Well, I've got to say to you, I want to ask you about this story, which I think is really interesting, about Sadiq Khan destroying Christmas in London. It's from the black cab industry. They're saying that lots of people during Christmas like to come to London, other big cities, and they like to get the shopping bags from places like Hamleys and get a black cab. But the way that Sadiq Khan has shut down the roads means that the black cab industry is not part of it, and they think mums like you, Danielle, are less likely to go to city centres with the kids if you can't pile the bags into... Now, not saying that people use black cabs all year round,
no,
but
but
families will use them as a special treat at
And not
Christmas.
just that, it's interesting you should say that, because you know that I come from quite a poor family, but strangely enough, it was slightly traditional to go Christmas shopping into the centre of Manchester, and my grandma would treat us with the black cab home because you could fit all your bags in the middle.
But I'm going to be controversial about this with you, Anna. And why I'm going to be controversial is I fear that Sadiq Khan does not understand the importance of Christmas. And I don't want to say that in a way that makes it sound like I'm trying to attack him for his Muslim faith or anything like that. But I think that there's a lot of things at Christmas time that he has failed to deliver that are traditional in this country. Now, I'll say something else about Sadiq. Sadiq Khan is a patriot who loves London, but I just don't think he loves London and Britain for the same reason
Well, he
I
takes
do.
white people out of the brochure, doesn't he, saying they don't represent London.
I think we're seeing this across the country as well. It's like the decimation of Christmas and our traditions. You're seeing as well, like one of the we'll be talking about this later, but a university's actually banned, I think, saying Christmas break in case it causes offence.
It's now winter break.
Winter break, so you can't say Christmas.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like we're seeing a cultural shift where this is something that we celebrate as a country, and now it's all of a sudden...
It dumbed down anyway about 25, because we all used to watch the 3 or 4 channels and everyone used to be in the same, watch the same sort of stuff. Now it's all fragmented. The whole society, it's just not as important. I used to love Christmas.
But we had a situation at, I think it was King's Cross Station, where they were putting messages from the Quran up during Eid. Nothing wrong with that, in my view, but nothing for Christmas and Easter.
Yeah, that's
and of course
the problem with the National Trust, because they've done their calendar to include Diwali, Eid, Ramadan, but not Easter or Christmas.
Well,
that's just ridiculous. Either do or don't include religious holidays.
Even the Archbishop of Canterbury, the one who had to resign, even he was sort of not really celebrating.
Well, on the subject remaining of Sadiq Khan, and once again, I'm not saying this because I'm not trying to get at him for his religion, but I have to say, on Oxford Street at Easter this year, the Eid lights went up, not Easter lights. Now, I'm sorry if Eid or Christmas clash with Diwali, Hanukkah, Eid, any of those things. I'm sorry, Easter and Christmas must come first in a Christian country.
Absolutely.
I agree,
we should be prioritising Christianity more, but it's almost like we're prioritising other religions. When
it's almost like it's acceptable. It's almost like we've gone further than saying that we are welcoming to people, that we are actively anti-Christian.
It's driven by the white Christian population who are sort of not that religious anymore. It's not actually driven by other religions. They're sort of, it's patronising in a way. It's like the white saviour. No, we better not. It'll offend people. But you know, Jewish people love Christmas, and you know, other faiths love Christmas because it's Britain, isn't it? This is culture.
Well, that comes down to the next thing, Danielle. I mean, it says when Birmingham got rid of Christmas and called it Winterval, there was a suggestion that it was the Muslims that were behind it, and that was not true.
No.
The reality was Birmingham City Council, on their own, had decided that Christmas was offended. And of course, what then happens is, you know, some elderly bearded man at the local mosque gets in the neck for abolishing Christmas when it wasn't him who did it.
And they wanted Christmas Eve, and all the curry houses are the first ones to put up the Christmas decorations.
The point is that they are very religious themselves, so I do think they do have respect when they come to this country for religion, because of the way they feel about their own religion.
And it is the culture of this country.
You're causing a problem where there isn't a problem, and I think it's really naughty because apparently the Newcastle Uni said that they had a 20-page woke document being more diverse. It's not. You're not being. It's not diverse, and
it causes racism.
It's causing problems.
Well, okay. I want to talk about the National Trust because we've slagged off Sadiq, and I'll tell you what. No, let's not do that. Let's go to a break now, and then
slag off Sadiq.
Then slag off Sadiq.
Yeah.
Back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the Late Show. I've been told that I am a bit
This is
a liquid blush.
Action man.
That is not a liquid blush, it's blood. I
look like an action man.
This is just to give you a little bit of...
A little bit?
Colour.
What are you doing?
You look like a 1940s doll.
Oh, I can't help it. Can you imagine doing his makeup?
It's Liberace.
There we go. Now you've got a much more colour now.
Yeah, but the problem is, what about people who just tune in? I'm going to have to keep reminding them. I mean, I look like a hernia.
You do look like you might be having a blood pressure problem.
I look like that MP whose liver gave up years ago and his face is doing all...
No, do you know what is this
Brian
new...
Clough.
Have you seen this, Anna, this new makeup trend where you've got to put blush on the end of your nose?
I've had that highlighter.
Apparently, I know, and apparently, close your eyes.
That looks great.
Blush on your top of your... I don't know how much watch.
You look like Aunt Sally.
Sorry. Do you know what I look like? I look like, you know how they blood the kids on the hunt?
Fox hunting, yeah.
Fox hunting. Okay, but I did want to talk about this subject, and it is about Father Christmas. So let me tell you, before I start anything else, I not only believe in Father Christmas, but I believe it's one of the most real things in the world, because it is a gift that this country gives to children of this country. And I always think the one thing about Father Christmas, there's going to be millions of families up and down the country who've scrimped and saved all year, who've made little sacrifices here, maybe haven't gone to this event they want to go to, or have that extra beer in the pub or whatever, in order that Father Christmas can come on Christmas Day. And it also takes a whole country to support those parents, and so I think Father Christmas is one of the greatest things that Britain does.
I agree.
And that's what makes it real for me. But what I do want to say is the National Trust want rid of it, Anna McGovern.
Well, let's just be clear here. Isn't it 50? I believe there's 58 Santa grottos. Isn't the problem that there are 2 of these where it's going to have Mrs. Claus reading a children's story to the kids, but the rest of them have Santa? Is that the real problem? That's what I'm just trying to clarify.
Is that what's happened?
That's what's happened.
We've got Santa's grottos.
So, okay, there are 58 or 57 Santa's grottos the kids will go to visit every year. But so the problem is that 2 of them have Mrs. Claus instead. So a lot of the problem, people are like, where's Santa? But apparently it's only 2 of these centres which are affected.
Okay. So what you're saying to me is, you're saying the National Trust have done so many rotten things that on this one occasion, when they haven't actually been wrong-uns, we've really had a go at them.
Well, I think some people have argued, like, it should be Santa, that's tradition. And some people, you know, I suppose every year when you bring your children to go to Santa's grotto, you're probably going to expect Father Christmas.
But without being funny, women of a certain age can have a white beard as well.
That's true.
You know, let's not be sexist. Let's not be sexist.
And the penis these days as well, even, yeah.
No, let's be clear. I will say Mrs. Thatcher went for electrolysis in her older days. You can't get.
I was just going to argue, you know, Santa's going all over these grottos apparently. Maybe Mrs. Claus taking on those 2 extra grottos and helping him out. That might be a really nice gesture.
Well, all right. I want to ask you about Father Christmas, Danielle. What does Father Christmas mean to you? Because I've told you what I think. First of all, I genuinely believe, and I've told you the reasons I believe, and I think that if children knew how much went into Father Christmas, that would be more wondrous than what they actually know, right?
Well, it's a difficult thing, isn't it? Because it happened. Unfortunately, there's a child down the road whose parents are going through a really tough time, and I don't know how it's happened, but this child, he's only 8, and he come in and he said, "My mummy's told me that Santa isn't real." That is like... It's heartbreaking, because I've got a 6-year-old...
Well, it's just not true
and
either.
an 11-year-old who still very much believe. And we said, if you believe Santa comes and brings you presents, Santa comes and brings you presents.
But he does come and bring you presents.
And like you say, that's how I feel about it. I think it's very much... You can't wipe the... Hang on, we're trying to have a serious conversation, and the producer's just walked in with some Dettol multi-surface.
Well, you're not going to believe it, but Vanessa Feltz used them. She didn't know.
What's her name?
Please do not put them on your face.
I've seen people use those.
Right, okay, sorry, keep talking. Because this is the problem with the little boy that Santa Claus forgot. And I will say,
well, he was a naughty boy.
I have known people where that problem has existed, and doesn't that mean that in a sense Santa's cruel?
Yeah, well, this is the way I explain it.
I look ridiculous, don't I? I'm going to try.
But we love you despite. Oh, there you go, tissues. That'll work. You've got a good run. In fact, in fairness, you'll still look better than you did before. Because you were very pale.
It's giving you a bit of colour, that is, at least.
Yeah, brightened you up a bit.
Right, sorry, go on.
But yeah, it's a difficult conversation, look, it's all about belief, isn't it? And like you say, the amount of effort that goes on in homes at Christmas,
But were you tempted? Can I ask you an awful question?
Yes, go on.
Were you not tempted to say to the people down the street, "We'll help out"?
No, I've already done that.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm not. I don't want to put you on the spot. You've got 4 kids, right? You know, I'm not.
No. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, no, don't worry.
So is Santa coming to the 8-year-olds?
Of course.
If he's been a good boy.
Santa is coming. Santa's definitely coming. I think the point more was that the family are very stressed and they're going through tough times.
Yeah.
And I think when a kid goes, because you've got to remember as well, it depends what kind of kid you've got, because my 6-year-old's still like, you know, the elf isn't real, the elf isn't real, the elf isn't real. You know this bloody elf that you have to... You know the elf story,
Well, break it to us gently.
The naughty elf, yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And it was the elf's not real, the elf's not real. And then, so the elf ended up freezing himself in a block of ice and said, I'm not coming out until you believe in me. And then, of course, there was very much a lot of belief then in the elf, because they were like...
So the elf
trouble the elf had gone to prove that he was real.
The elf had gone in the freezer.
Solid block of ice, frozen in a solid block of ice in protest. It's like, if you don't believe in me, I'm going to go back to the North Pole.
But what, right, when you spoke
belief came straight back.
When you spoke to the elf,
I don't have anything to do with that elf, because me and that elf don't get on. He has made such a mess of my house.
Right,
Such a mess.
right.
And to be fair, when he threw cornflakes everywhere...
What,
that
the
was
elf?
when the elf threw cornflakes all over my kitchen. That was when my son, who was 6, said, now I do believe, Mummy, because there's no way that you would throw cornflakes all over
can I
me.
just ask you, when you spoke to the elf, did you...
Had you been drinking?
Did you... What occurred? What was the elf's thought process?
I don't know, because he only comes alive when there's no grown-ups around. Doesn't he? So...
But what did he tell the child was the thought process of bloody freezing himself in a block of ice?
But he's, like, protesting.
Oh,
like, I want to go back to the North Pole if you don't believe in me. Well,
self-harms, the elf.
Essentially, I suppose, but, like, I mean...
Anna, are you okay?
Yeah, I thought I had makeup wipes, so I was going to help you out. And then I realised I didn't bring them with me. I wasn't having a seizure. I promise.
Anna, in my ear, they were going, ask Anna at something, and then suddenly what you were doing was, I thought you'd had some sort of a fit, right? And I was thinking, well,
going behind the desk.
It's like when Gould comes in, and sometimes we think he's had a stroke because he's just sort of sad. Look,
you do in a funny way.
No,
in a funny way, you do look better for a bit of colour, Andre. You were very pale, mate. Very pale.
The end of his nose needs doing this one.
Aren't you going to have a holiday? You keep threatening a holiday and not going on one, don't you?
To be fair, my mate's invited me to his yacht in Monaco.
Oh, has he? You've got to go to the yacht in Monaco.
Oh.
You're not going?
No.
Oh, come on.
Can't be bothered. I'm like Gordon Gecko, right? I get my plane tickets and just shred them on the day.
It must be quite boring just sitting on a yacht, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Boring?
Well, yeah, just sitting on a bloody yacht in the sea.
I'd love to be bored on a yacht.
I went on Robert Mercer's yacht. Robert Mercer is the billionaire that funded Donald Trump, and his yacht.
Oh, well, that's be a nice yacht.
His yacht cost $90 million, right? And it had 26 staff. It had the sides opened and 2 further yachts deployed. I said to his daughter, does your dad ever call himself Blofeld? Right. And here was the extraordinary thing. I went to this shelf at this thing they had. The boat was called the Sea Owl. It's up for sale now. You can Google it. But they had 7 yachts, all in British racing green, all called the Sea Owl, models of them, and you could see them getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I said to Robert Mercer's wife, I said, I can see as you've got richer, the yachts have got bigger. What do you do with the old ones? And she said, we still own all of them. They had 120 sailors working for the family. Wow. Robert Mercer takes 2 weeks holiday a year, which isn't even enough time. Not even enough time to get round the 7 yachts. And the $90 million yacht that I was on board was bought for the sole purpose of the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah,
so he could visit the Monaco Grand Prix.
Don't you? Well, a good
unbelievable.
Berth.
Oh, yeah, that's like the best bit in it if you're in the
OK, we're going to do the press preview in a couple of minutes. I think Anna and Danielle are going to stay, aren't you?
Yes.
Are you going to stay? OK, Danielle, I think what you have to do, in honour of the late-night phone-in, which I think we are going to bring back sooner or later.
It's got to come back.
I think what we want to do is know what time out. Is it 59:49? It is, OK.
Are you going to let me go to the news with no earpiece?
So.
With no earpiece?
I think so. Look, 49... Come on, you're the more experienced one.
I don't know what you want from me.
0344 499 1000, and Danielle is going to say goodbye. Okay. It's 59:49, and there's the clock.
We're not going to say goodbye because we're going to say we'll see you in just a minute because we're going nowhere here on talkTV.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
This is the press preview where we go through all of the front pages with our marvellous guests and indeed me and Asher Gould. Our guests today are Anna McGovern, who is a social and political commentator, and Danielle Nichols, who is ubiquitous in the UK media. She's
Do
on.
you know what I am? I'm called a gob for hire.
Really?
Yeah,
and is that reference the radio? Okay.
Don't forget Mike Graham's coming up next. Oh, look, all right, Mike. Yeah, he's just getting ready for. He's just having a croissant one of his early. With you in a few minutes. There's Mike Graham.
Who is that your impression?
Well, that was Mike just coming through. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So, Asher, what's on the front pages?
Right, let's start with the Soaraway Times. There it is. See for yourself. And budget has left us with zero growth, says Bank. It's worse than that. It'll be minus growth, won't it? I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. Andrew Bailey highlights concern over tax rises. I mean, there was a shoe shop retailer. They're shutting 300 shops, and they've directly blamed the budget. Loads of companies have stopped their new employment, and trainees are actually cutting back staff because their bills have gone up massively. The retail sector, Tesco's and all that lot, they're saying this is going to... They all got together and wrote a letter, but they don't care. They're just chucking it into the public sector. So that's basically... The Bank of England has sounded a warning that the economy is stagnating following Rachel Reeves's budget after businesses responded by raising prices and cutting jobs. So we're going to get less money and everything's becoming more expensive. hell in a handcar. What do you think, Danielle?
It sounds great, doesn't it? Merry Christmas.
Anna,
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what upsets me. People say inflation's under control, and what they actually mean is it's ceasing to rise by as much. So when you've seen your shopping go up by 25%, it's not going to go down by 25%.
Well, no.
It's just going to go up by about 10%.
It's going to go up. Yeah, it's going to go up by like 3 or 4%. But you're not. So you're still going to be much worse off.
And something else as well about what I've noticed about Christmas this year: people are buying less Christmas presents for each other. Like my friends and family I've spoken to, most of them are not even trying. You know,
we're just
everything's so much more expensive.
It's racist these
we're
days.
just doing
It's
the kids.
considered racist.
No, everybody's doing the same thing because it's so expensive.
Oh, that's not what's happening in my household. But let's just
Yeah, one way, probably. Yeah.
let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Although I did get an early present of a Bartesian cocktail maker.
Okay, what's that exactly? Is that just the shaky thing?
No, it's got 4 bottles of whiskey, gin, vodka and rum.
So no, it's just alcohol. That's what you got.
No. You know how you get those coffee machines with the pods?
Yes.
It's got cocktail pods. And you put it in the machine, close it, and you go, do you want it light, medium or strong? And then it just mixes you like a Long Island iced tea or a mojito or an old-fashioned
You like a gadget, don't you, Andre?
No, he likes a drink.
He's got an ice machine.
Any excuse to
I'll tell you what I've got in a row now. I've got an ice machine.
Yeah.
I've got an ice crusher.
Oh.
And I've got a cocktail machine.
Is your ice crusher one of those Mr. Frosties where you have to turn the handle and it
No, I wouldn't.
Do you remember them? The little snowmen?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, the little ice crusher.
Yeah.
No, I want to ask you as a serious comment. Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States of America, not the biggest surprise in the world, but I think probably sensible. And I'll tell you why I think it's sensible. Because Mandelson knows his way around Westminster, but also when he was EU Commissioner, he was EU Commissioner for Trade, generally accepted to have been pretty good, and we want a trade deal with Donald Trump. Yeah. And I think
And he's not said mean things about Donald Trump.
He sold Cadbury's to him and they've bastardised it by putting bits of Jello and marshmallow in like Cadbury's dairy milk.
Oh, I know what you mean. They're all right, though. I quite like them.
Yeah.
I think, I personally think, Anna, that, look, at the end of the day, this government has been accused of being not very serious. Peter Mandelson is a serious person.
Freezing this Christmas.
Do you remember he came here, didn't he? The day after the election, he never comes here, and he was sort of, I don't know if he was gloating. He went on Julie Hartley-Brewer and started going on about, he'd never come in here before, but he did seem a changed person. But I think he became very rich, didn't he? They all became very rich, that Blair lot, didn't they?
Did they?
Very, very rich.
Though, speaking of, the current government as well, and what I just meant freezing this Christmas, that, the BBC, that is the top #1 Christmas song, and that will be a test of the BBC if they are actually impartial or not.
Well, they're not, are they?
Well, no, they're not. That's the answer.
And they don't care.
I quite love this. Have we heard it? Do you know how the chorus goes?
Oh, we've been playing it on talkTV.
It'll be freezing this Christmas.
Sing it, baby, sing it.
At home, it'll be freezing this Christmas while Keir Starmer's warm. It'll be cold, so cold.
Keir Starmer will be technically warm, but will have received the cold shoulder again this Christmas.
And I like the name of the band, which is Sir Starmer and the Granny Hammers.
Do you know that reminds me of when I was at school. My teacher, Vivian Quarry, who I think's head teacher of girls' school now in Essex, really great person. She walked in,
you said that.
History teacher, and she said, does anyone know who Bobby Sands and the Hunger Strikers are? And one kid put his hand up and said, were they a 70s pop group? I mean, they do sound...
It does a bit, actually. I'll give it
It's Bobby Sands and the Hunger Strikers.
Well, at the moment, that song is, like you say, it's #1 in the iTunes charts. But let's just get a bit more perspective here, because this does annoy me. At the moment, £15,000 has been raised for AIDS UK. through that song.
15? How much?
Yeah.
Why is it so little?
Well, I don't know. Up to now. Up to now, I think. Is that right? 15 or 50? I might be wrong.
But according to Labour figures, because they moaned about the Tories might take it away, they said 4,500 people will die if you take them. So that's what they're doing now. So that means 40 people are dying tonight, thanks to this Labour government.
And it has
well,
to be
that's
said,
what I mean. So the money's going to Age UK. So you can't. I'm sorry, but you can't be angry about it. Doesn't matter. It's only a joke, and it goes to help people.
The BBC played 45 seconds of Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead when Margaret Thatcher died.
Ah, I see.
Wait for it. Seriously?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it got to about number 8 in the charts, something like that. Well, I think the reality.
So they'll play that, but they won't play Freezing This Christmas.
But it's not the right side, is it?
But perhaps that says something about the way that politicians have changed, because I guarantee you, having done, and I always say this, I don't want to be a Walter Mitty, I did a small amount of work for Margaret Thatcher much later, towards the end of her life, just being press officer for an organisation that she was president of. I wouldn't like to claim that I did, but she genuinely had no interest in stuff like this. She wouldn't have felt sensitive about it. She wouldn't have been remotely offended about it. The only one thing she did say was when they were going, Maggie, 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 out, 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 she would say, are you telling me I'm offending them by just being alive? Yes. Oh, my.
We don't want to go to Taylor Swift concert either.
Right, OK, can I ask you this about Giselle Pellicott?
Oh, yes, this is the
OK, so this is the woman who has been raped by 50 men, having been drugged by her husband. She didn't know any of it was going on until it kind of surfaced on the internet. Look, there's one thing that's interesting, and I say this as a man to a woman. Lots of people are saying it's exposed the issue of rape culture amongst men. She has said that she doesn't believe that's true. She believes that her husband was a wrong-un, and she said, whilst I was surprised that any man would do this, I am absolutely sure that your average man is not interested in this sort of activity. That's right, isn't it, Danielle?
Well, yeah, because you can't put one wrong-un and say everyone's the same. Obviously, I mean, but what
50 wrong-uns.
But that's the point. This is the bit that worries me, is that that's a lot of people for someone to not go, hang on a minute, this isn't right. And that always, things like that concern me. There are idiots in this world, and there are bad people. It's filled with them. But when a series of people have gone into this and seen the state she was in, I mean, there've been excuses. People have said things like, we thought it might be part of the game, and that kind of rubbish, as trying to defend themselves. But the truth is, after watching the evidence, apparently there's no way you could question it wasn't an act.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what.
Why didn't someone go, hang on a minute, hang on a minute?
Yeah, but hang on. Right. So first of all, you're right. But secondly, loads of people I've seen have said, "Blooming heck, your missus was off her head last night." You know what I mean, right? I mean, I
don't think this is a case of that.
No,
it wasn't. She was clearly.
Well, that's rape anyway. If the woman can't consent,
and that's what I teach my sons. I teach my sons the same thing. Like, if a girl's drunk, it's a no.
Yes,
that's the end of it.
You can't get consent,
drunk,
can you?
But I suppose I don't want to get anybody to misunderstand what I was saying.
No.
I think the point is, having not seen the evidence, one would assume that if you went round to somebody's house and they were husband and wife, you would assume that the husband was being responsible by the couple's definition of responsible.
Yes,
That's my point.
And maybe and let's say for just a second that maybe they would think that she was somehow consented in some other form,
exactly
being her husband. But I think in this case, if you read the story,
I mean, he was drugging her and then raping her, so clearly she wouldn't be in a.
No. I think the point we're making is
it was a kinky game before they turned up.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Do you see what I mean? That this was a kink that they'd agreed to prior to these men turning up.
Or perhaps they'd taken drugs together and she'd gone a bit too far, or whatever. But she's been. I mean, this is quite interesting. We have to be careful because obviously we're on the early breakfast show in addition to on the show the night before. The decision for her to go public, I have to say personally, I have the greatest of respect for her.
I do.
I think she did the right thing. I think turning up every single day was a great thing to have done. I think that she's been a bit of a hero.
Yeah.
But most people would not do that, I suspect.
No. No, most people would not do that. And the thing is, she's married to the guy for 50 years.
And she knew nothing.
I know. So, like, it blows your mind, doesn't it?
It's hard to get your head round, isn't it?
I think this is a case of that one weirdo, like you say. Him being the one weirdo who, let's be honest, got found out because he was taking pictures in a supermarket up women's skirts, and there was a security guard who
is that right?
Shopped him. That's how he. Yeah, and then the police went back to investigate and found, if you can believe it, a file called that said abused. That was the name of the file.
No.
They called it.
God.
I know.
I'll tell you something, and we'll move on now. But I'll tell you something that happened to me, which was absolutely dreadful. I was on the underground, and you know what? Obviously, in this job, there's lots of things that you can do. You can have a bit of a laugh. You don't have to work that many hours a day, but you cannot be late. Right, and when I say late, we arrive kind of an hour before normally, but you can't be literally late for the show.
Yes.
I was running late to the extent that I was going to maybe get here 3 or 4 minutes before the show started, which doesn't get me in trouble, but doesn't exactly endear you to the producers.
Yeah.
But you couldn't come after the show starts for obvious reasons. I was on the tube and there was a bloke with his phone and he had his camera and he was zooming in on a woman. And he was taking lots of photos, and I could see him doing it. And I turned to the people behind me. I said, "I'm sure he's." Yeah, he is. So I grabbed him. And do you know what he did? He changed the operating system of his phone. He clicked out, and then he said, no, you can go through all my photos on here. There's no photos on it. It had a different operating system. And I thought to myself, I can't... there's no way in 5 minutes I can deal with this and get to work.
No.
So I'm just going to have to leave him. But he was... And this was the awful thing. He was... I mean, the lady in question thanked me, but of course he had a system somehow about...
You do know you can... If it's on public transport, there is a number you can call to report that.
Say it, sorted.
No, it's not that.
Is it not that one?
That's for
I put it on the thing. Is that what that's for?
It's called... What's it called? Is it called something like Too Close or something? There is an advert on the tube that says...
Oh,
this is the number to...
No, I've got to tell you a Too Close story. I've got to tell you a Too Close story.
Okay.
I was in a nightclub called Mistress of Mayfair the other day, and
Did you go? With the Alan's party?
With your mate from Monaco?
I didn't know you were going. I'd have gone. Sorry.
Anyway, I'm not going to bother telling the story because they're moaning because we have to talk about the budget instead. Okay. Budget is left us with zero growth.
Right, that's the Mirror. Again, the same story, and also Gavin and Stacey, The Verdict. I've never really watched that programme.
Oh, you're missing out.
Am I?
You're missing out. Yeah, you've got to watch Gavin and Stacey.
But is it? You know, have you seen the new ones they're doing? I mean, are they any good? I mean, I never watched the old ones, so I don't really know.
They're up to. They've done 3 series, haven't they? So I'm going back over the 3rd series just to refresh myself.
No, but there's a new one.
Oh, right, a new one.
Oh,
yeah,
the
Christmas special.
It's like the remedial
class. We've not seen it yet.
No.
So you can't see it.
Is there a Mrs. Brown's Boys Christmas special?
Please,
I don't.
Yes, there is apparently.
I've said this. You know, my mother would have been 77 3 days ago if she was still with us. She's dearly missed, but her enjoyment of the Mrs. Brown Boys box set DVD was not acceptable. I mean, it was something that I would.
That's the thing when you think about comedy. You know, some of them you think, why is it done so well, and yet gets a massive audience? Because I suppose
this is funny, Gavin and Stacey.
Yeah.
It's very funny. You can't judge it if you've not seen it.
No, I'm not judging it.
Well, you can because we don't like James Corden.
Yeah,
right, I see. Okay.
Sort of people have gone off.
What about Ruth? We like Ruth. It's good that they've put the world's bravest woman up with. I mean,
that was world's bravest woman. The woman who heroically faced down her husband and 50 other men that abused her has seen them all found guilty. So she hopes the story may bring strength to other victims of male violence. Hopefully, it will lead to other people.
Well, she shouldn't feel ashamed because she's a victim, isn't she? She shouldn't.
Well, of course not.
Yeah, but people do though, don't they?
No, but she hasn't and shouldn't, and good for her.
I agree with that.
The Guardian, the same same story. I wanted all of society to be a witness, so this is the best thing she's done, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And that's it. Oh, and the best film.
Do you know what she's managed to claw back is her decency, because that man has tried to destroy her decency, and I think now everyone can agree.
But what must it be like, though, to be married to someone for 50 years and discover they're an outrageous wrong?
Well, how much must she have felt that there was something wrong with her? Because
I thought that
she must have thought I'm sick or something.
And I just want to be clear, obviously, because it's early breakfast, we have to be careful. But one would assume. I mean, she must have just thought that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Because it had gone on that long.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
She's all over the paper, so I'm good for her.
Yeah, but there's another story in the Daily Mail apart from that. Now look who's really crashing the economy. That's the Daily Mail. Labour pledged to make us all wealthier. Now well, they promised everything and gave us nothing. Now inflation's rising again, the bond market's in turmoil, and the Bank of England says growth will slump to 0% after Reeves' ruinous budget. Anna, what do you think about this?
I mean, I think many people are just completely disappointed with what they voted for. I think a lot of people voted for Labour in the first place. Yeah, buyer's remorse. I think that's a good way of putting it. They wanted anyone but the Tories. They felt utterly let down by the Conservative government, and they thought Labour might be a good alternative.
Well, they were promised. The waspy women were promised. The elderly thought, oh, well, they're not going to get out. The farmers thought they're going to be... Because
we
they
all
lied.
thought that Labour were going to look after the people. Isn't that
It's almost like they said anything they could at the time to get into power, and now we're seeing them just reversing on everything that they promised or said, really.
But is he feeling the pressure, Steve? A lot of people are saying, and apparently the Labour Party are turning on him, and you can see he's actually not as robotic at the moment. He's losing it, the plot, isn't he?
Though one for MP I've got to think, I think is fantastic, is Rupert Lowe. He is doing such fantastic work. I did have my problems with reform, but he is actually every day constantly he's writing these really long sort of essays and going into detail about the scandals of the current government and what's really going on in the country. And
the migrant figures and crime, and they're the opposition. I mean, Badenoch's been a real letdown, hasn't she?
Yeah, I mean, she's spending time arguing about sandwiches, and I don't think that's what the country wants.
And I'll tell you
no two-tier system, she says, as well.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Farage is a brilliant broad brush man. Richard Tice is Mr. Risk Aversion, and to have Rupert Lowe as a details person, I think is really helpful.
They all cover a lot of different bases, don't they? They actually they don't copy each other. They have and Lee Anderson, of course.
And who'd think that would make such a good team?
Yeah.
I think as long as they stop fearing about the optics and actually start prioritising the people, because I think there's a few things that they said.
Or as you prefer to call it, not supporting Tommy Robinson.
Well, I think just sort of cancelling out anyone who sort of resonates with him and his team's message, I don't think is necessarily representative of the whole country, or just sort of rejecting your members like that just because they resonate with someone and their message. I think that's pretty bad.
All right, we're going to go to the break, but we're going to be sticking with the press preview just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is the press preview. And I think, Ash, you've spotted the Daily Telegraph.
The Daily Telegraph has a few stories in there. Let's have a look. PM picks Mandelson to win over Trump. New Labour grandee named as Washington ambassador to avoid US trade crisis. Do you think it's going to help? He's quite a good businessman. He knows a lot of people. He goes on a lot of yachts, doesn't he? And knows a lot of billionaires. Do you think Trump will like him?
Yeah, I do, actually. I think that Trump will see Mandelson as a serious negotiator, and I think that he likes that idea. The big concern about Mandelson is that Mandelson is the Europhile to end all Europhiles, and the problem is, look, the reality is the Labour Party does not want a trade deal with the United States of America. They want to rejoin the EU.
But can Trump change that with Mandelson?
Well, if Mandelson can take that hat off, I mean, I have to say, I've said this before, and people have complained about farmers. Right, look, clearly we can never match the economies of scale of the American farming industry, or indeed of most of the European farming industry, aside from the French. And I make that as a serious comment. But I think we should be subsidising British farmers as a matter of national security, because we have to be able to have homegrown food.
Yes.
But they'll never be able to be as efficient as foreign farmers. So what we do is we subsidise the British farmers, and we let the food flood in from the United States of America. And I think that what will happen is there'll be mums this Christmas who would have appreciated it. Remember, we were talking about at one point an average family spending 20% extra by being a member of the Common Agricultural Policy. Now, you look at 25% inflation. You know, if we can cut food bills by 20%, and we probably would by having a trade deal with the United States of America, that'd be great.
Now, it tastes a bit corny, and it might have 3 legs instead of 2, but I mean, that's better value for money.
But they have got different laws when it comes to...
They have got rubbish cheese.
Okay, but let's just... So I'll give an example. Right? So, obviously, British European eggs you don't have to keep in the fridge because they've been pasteurised.
Yes.
American eggs you do because they haven't.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's not beyond the realms of capability.
The milk's rubbish in America.
But also
lasts about 3 months.
Also, the other thing is about Americans. You know, first of all, I'd say that dipping a chicken into chlorine, which is only the same as a swimming pool, to kill salmonella is not a bad idea. And here's the hypocrisy of the EU: it's what we do with salad in Britain and the EU. But anyway,
and horses as well.
But anyway, if you want to buy cheaper food, buy cheaper food. If you want, it's this stupid European idea of what we should do is prevent people who want to buy cheaper food buying it.
I think we're at a very strange stage where we seem to be paying a lot more money for products that have a lot less chemicals, which just seems a little bit madness to me.
Well, everything's going up here.
Yeah, I very much stick to, and only because of privilege, the word organic, because I know that there's certain...
Because you like things grown in poo rather than chemicals.
I would rather mine were grown in poo. Absolutely, I would.
Just say I like poo.
My roses and stuff have horse poo around them, and they grow beautifully. No,
but you wouldn't eat them.
Me roses? No, but I eat my apples off my apple tree, and
they've been in poo.
They've got poo round the bottom of them. Yeah.
Have you ever personally contributed?
You should wash them first.
Do you know what I do fancy? I do actually geekily fancy growing some of my own fruit and veg and stuff like that. But I know it's a bit sad. But I just like that idea. But I agree with you. As in, we do need to make sure that we still do grow food. Like, because
everything's got
you never know
radiation now. Nothing's
what's going to happen, what's around the corner. So I do agree with that we have to keep British farmers farming.
But nothing's really organic. It's all contaminated with radiation.
Well, no, that's the thing with it. Not really, but there is a lot more rules to organic food and a lot of stuff
This is why. So I went to Israel, and first of all, people say the food in Israel is brilliant. It's terrible. Believe me, it's just...
I'll go to Israel soon.
It depends where you go.
It's bland and rubbish. But I'll tell you one thing that is great about any of those countries. It's the same with Cyprus, Turkey, Greece. the fresh produce, I will tell you, is fresh.
The salads and the kebabs are good out there, you know what I mean?
Well,
And
it's
the
a bit,
hummus and
it's a bit
falafel
the
and all
same
that.
in Saudi, and you kind of know because of how quickly they go off.
Yes.
Which we don't realise is we think, oh great, that's lasted forever, but that's always
And
a
they
really
have-
bad sign.
In those countries, they have bin collection on a daily basis.
Yeah.
They have it on the
They do.
day, and we have to now have 3 weeks or whatever.
Oh.
Anyway,
And everyone's got rats.
They have. Yeah.
Wales is skip. This is a Telegraph. Wales is skip pre-Christmas lunch for the first time. They're not going to do the Prince Andrew and Beatrice and all that aren't going, and they're not as well going now. I think they've got some other engagement. But is it maybe something because King Charles is not well? Maybe they're just all having a year. Just having a quiet Christmas. Maybe that's all it is. You know what I mean?
Maybe they don't want to be cooking for too many.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
They don't want to get the spare chairs out of the garage.
It's really. I think
One of them don't want to sit on one of
spare thrones.
the stools at the bottom. Why is it when you go to you end up? No, it's all right, Gran. I'll sit on this chair.
Yeah, that's no good. What were you going to say, Bubba?
I was going to say that there are 2 Christmas dinners, aren't there? Or Christmas lunches. There's the one at Buckingham Palace and there's the one at Sandringham. And what's interesting is that the one at Buckingham Palace, the Duke of York has been invited and did go. So intends to go rather. It's the Sandringham one that he's not going to. So I suspect what the Times are saying here, I might be wrong, is that Prince William is far more resolute on Prince Andrew than his father. Now that would dovetail on to the fact that he is not the conciliatory one with Prince Harry either.
Right.
And now whether that is a reference to his personality, I suspect it's more that his father's getting older. Frankly, he could be king within the next 5 years.
Yes.
I hope not, because, I think King Prince Charles, as everyone calls him, has been Prince of Wales for that long. He deserves some time
I like King
He
Prince
deserves a
Charles,
good run.
Yeah, but the reality is he's an old man who's relatively sick.
Yeah.
And I think that Prince William, probably having been burnt on Harry, now is very, very venomously anti-Prince Andrew, who, first of all, probably doesn't know very well. Secondly, he sees an enormous letdown. Thirdly, probably thinks his grandmother and his father were very weak on. And fourthly, probably thinks to himself, my dad is ill, this guy's in very good health. I could be in a situation where I spend 20 years as king with this idiot, destroying my headlines on a monthly basis with whatever the latest stupidity is he's come up with. And the reality is, I've said this before today about Prince Andrew, I genuinely do not believe the allegations against him, the sexual allegations against him. I think the man will hang around with anybody for a couple of quid, and that was his attraction to Jeffrey Epstein.
Downfall,
now, people are going to say, Andre, you're wrong, and it's important to bear in mind that I'm not the court, nor do I have any access to the evidence. The reason that I believe that it's more about money than anything else is that when he was trade envoy, the disastrous problem was you were putting a not very bright but hugely arrogant and a selfish man near every single tin pot dictator and financial wrong'un in the world, all of whom's phone numbers he collected. And it's very clear that anybody who invited him onto the yacht got to Buckingham Palace. His 60th birthday party was full of all sorts of, businessmen this and that house that he sold, which, the Kazakh businessman
Barrett home.
Never even been to, but
paid 20 million over the odds.
All of it just feels to me like money rather than anything else, because let's be clear. So when he lost Jeffrey Epstein, he starts hanging around with this Chinese businessman. Well, there's no suggestion of anything there. The Kazakh businessman that bought his house, no suggestion of any sexual impropriety there. All of it just feels like money to me, but I might be wrong.
But the interesting thing, if something terrible happened and something happened to Prince William, the next in line obviously would be George. Is it George?
Yeah.
George.
But because he's not at the full age of that, it would be then Prince Harry would become the regent.
No, they wouldn't. They might.
Because he's the next in line that's old enough.
They might.
What does that mean? Like his standing?
Yeah. Well, he'd still have George as king.
No,
but
I think probably what they'd do is they'd use the councillors of state rather than a regent. And here's the thing about the councillors of state: they've added a number of them recently. They've added the Princess Royal,
Elton John.
Like her.
and they've added Prince Edward.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you think that they've kind of
I think Princess Anne,
for that?
Princess Anne would be the best one.
So I think the councillors of state.
I like Princess Anne.
I think the councillors of state used to be Camilla, William, Harry, and Andrew.
Right.
I think they're now Camilla, William, Harry, Andrew, Princess Anne, and Prince Edward.
Wouldn't you have to have a blood relative, like not Camilla? It'd have to be an actual blood royal.
No, I think also, actually, this would never happen nowadays, but it has happened in the past. If Prince George had a wife, even though he was under the age of 18, then she might become a councillor of state as well. But I
feel very safe handsy with Will and Kate.
Can I tell you?
I really do.
Safe hands with Willie.
Yeah.
Can I tell you who's also a star? Prince Edward and Sophie. And Sophie in particular, who everybody completely forgot. She was like the rubbish Princess Diana for years.
Was the Queen's favourite. She was the Queen's favourite, Sophie.
I'll tell you what, it must be very hard to do this, but the best royal women are the ones who just shut their mouth, cut the ribbon, pull the cords.
Well, that's what the Queen did, isn't it?
But you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh, no, they're all powerful behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
He does.
Yeah. It's just that outwardly they know.
I think we should go to a break, shouldn't we? Because we're going to get into trouble for being massively over. Yeah. When we come back, I think we're going to be looking at not only the Daily Star, but also the Independent. Back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is...
It's Andre and Ash, and we've got Anna McGovern and Daniel Nichols with us. And Nick, we're just doing a paper review. Don't forget, Mike Graham's coming up. The Daily Star, world's boffiest boffin. Afterlife is real. And apparently, this guy's even cleverer than Einstein. It says, a man who is so clever, he makes Einstein look like a dimwit. And this is the Daily Star saying that, so we've got to take it seriously. It says he has proof the afterlife exists, which is nice, says the Daily Telegraph.
Because this is the press preview and we've only got the front page, that sentence is the only detail.
That's all we know.
There's a picture of someone in the afterlife if you're watching. If you're on the listening on the radio, it's a man with wings and a pair of broken glasses on. That probably from getting through the gates of heaven.
Oh, come on, dare we say... No, I'll tell you what, Asher, you've got a choice now. We can either say...
I think it's how the Irish say thirds.
Do you fear death,
Oh,
or
right,
should we
yeah.
just move on?
Well, I don't know if it's quite comforting to know there's an afterlife. There's
I
gotta
like
be, hasn't
this.
there? Yeah. Do you believe there's an afterlife?
I believe in the fact that energy can't be destroyed. And my own experience.
Yeah, but you could just turn into a toaster.
But you have a remarkable view on birth, which I think is a remarkable view. It's not one I share, but I think it's interesting. Particularly interesting for somebody who's had miscarriages. You believe that a baby acquires its soul from God at the point of birth?
Yes, when it takes its first breath.
So you believe, and I can understand why, you believe that those children who were miscarried, actually the soul was eventually born in the child that came out?
Eventually, yeah. That's my personal belief.
Well, no, it's actually interesting you say that, because I used to know a guru who said that your soul goes out the other way. It leaves through your, lower half.
Oh, yeah.
And he said if you clench it, even in a plane crash, if you clench it hard enough, you won't die. I mean, I didn't really believe him, but...
well, every time you get a bit nervous, that's what you do.
You do twitch,
but that's
though,
just
don't you?
nothing to do with...
So your soul doesn't pop out.
So Anna, do you remain a traditional Catholic on this issue?
I like to believe that there is, an afterlife out there.
Have you ever had any experiences, by the way, either of you? I suppose, have you?
Yeah.
You
We've
have,
had lots of experiences, but just not an afterlife.
You saw a ghost, didn't you? apparently?
Yeah.
Well, this is quite personal, but a close family member of mine, like several months back, actually almost died, very unexpectedly, and less than 3% survival of operation. Luckily, she was okay in the end, but that was very, very scary.
But did she see the light?
Did she have an experience?
No, she was unconscious, so no. I don't think she remembers.
Because Ken in London, genuinely, when he had his heart attack, I mean, he's the evangelical Christian that phones in, but and apparently he's phoned in and booked himself to come on in 20 minutes. Perfect. But he genuinely, I mean, he was a Christian before, but genuinely he believes that he had. I can't.
He heard the voice of Jesus, didn't he?
But he had some communication with God.
Yeah, and I've had experience where I've seen. I had an experience where my daughter who died, I saw her at the side of my bed. Yeah.
Grown up? Or
No,
still a baby?
No, she was she was weirdly the age that she would be.
Right, that's amazing.
Do you know what I mean? If she hadn't have left us, she'd have...
I don't wish to be crass, but your daughter died having got meningitis on holiday.
So she died just before she was 2. She died of meningitis, and she would have been. She carried on living at the time that I had the experience, probably about the age of 4. Which all I can say is the height of
and
the.
Did you
child at the side of the bed. I thought she was one of my other kids.
Must have been a great comfort, that.
But did you? So first of all, you'd have recognised her as one of your kids. How did you know it was her and not some other kid?
Well, this is really strange because I know this sounds ridiculous, but I have really bad eyesight. So I sleep, well, obviously without my contact lenses and no glasses. So everything is very blurry. I can't see very well. I'm very short-sighted.
You sure you hadn't just left the telly on?
Well, the thing is, this figure was at the side of my bed, and you do that thing where, because you don't think it's going to be a ghost, so I thought it was my older child had a nightmare. So I did the thing that you do as a mum, where you throw the covers back and you kind of go, come on, get in bed, because when they've had a bad dream or whatever, or if they're sleepwalking, I threw the covers back and the child didn't get in bed. And because I didn't know what I was experiencing, I was like, what? Come on, and the child still stood there looking at me, but it wasn't very clear. It was dark. Obviously, I get all that.
Wow, that's
but
amazing.
It was more of a feeling of knowing there was a child stood there. And it was only when I reached my hand out to kind of go, what? You know, like get in the bloody bed. And I reached my hand out like that. And obviously then my hand went straight through the figure. And within the same second that my hand went through the figure wasn't there anymore.
And you just adrenaline woke up.
And then my adrenaline was like, oh my, what's just happened? Yeah.
Well, we've got somebody called Pamela who's just texted in to say that, and I don't know if she's being serious or joking. She says, as a nurse, I've witnessed souls leaving the body.
Yeah.
They leave from the crown.
Yeah, I think she's absolutely right. And the lights flash, and I've unfortunately watched a few people pass.
I saw someone dying once in a hospital, and they were sort of unconscious, but then, and this was like, they died a few hours later, but at one point they just sat up in bed and opened their eyes wide. Like
completely,
like amazed at something.
Oh, talking about the person in the room, have you had that as well? They talk about somebody who's passed, who's in the room.
No,
so she'll have had that experience.
She suddenly woke up and went like that and just looked like
Like she saw something.
Yeah, and she was an old lady.
I mean, I have to say to you, obviously, when my mother died, there was the whole COVID thing, and you know, she couldn't be buried for a month or whatever.
Was she on her own, Andre, when she died?
Oh no, actually,
You were with her?
no. To be fair,
because that always upsets me when you talk about that.
That's not what the law was. The law was that you weren't allowed to see somebody until 48 hours before they died. Now, for whatever reason, my dad was able to visit her every day and spent with her. I don't fully understand whether that was even legal. Although,
did he have to wear a suit? Because I know someone had to wear a hazmat suit.
He was meant to wear it, but I mean, without being crass, by that point, it was a silly thing. But but when we had her coffin in the house, and we had her in the house for 2 weeks. Yeah. It wasn't spooky.
No, not at all.
It's only your mother. It's not.
I know. Well, I had one of the kids wake up and they were sleeping in the same room as where she would have slept when she was alive. And I went on to have another baby, and she woke up for the night. She'd have only been about 2 or 3, and she said, "Mommy, I keep getting woke up in the night by that little girl playing in the bedroom."
Oh.
I know, but there was nothing scary. Like, people say that's
the opposite.
Scary.
It's comforting.
Yeah, it is. And I was like, well, that'll be your sister, darling. Like,
that's fantastic,
she'll be
isn't it?
playing in the bedroom, like, and whether it, do you know what? Whether you believe me or whether anyone, I don't really care. It's not for me to prove
we
to
don't know
anyone.
everything.
It brings significant comfort. But I'll tell you what we want to do. We've got the iPaper talking about water bills. It's such an important story. Why don't we go to a break now, and then we're going to be back with the paper review, because this story about your water bills increasing is going to knock your socks off.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, well, look, there's Mike. He's had his croissants. He's now on the English breakfast. He has a continental breakfast. He'll be on in a few minutes. But anyway, we're reviewing the papers. The iPaper, extra water bill hikes will follow 36% increase unless Labour kills failing watchdog. Well, of course, they're getting rewarded for failure. They're getting telephone number wages, and yet all the water's running down the drains. Government says it shares public anger over water bills. Yeah, of course you do. And puts the water industry's regulator on notice that the failures that led to today's bill rises can never happen again.
Oh, I don't know. I've got some time. By the way, we are joined by Danielle Nichols and Anna McGovern. What I was going to say is this. first of all, I'm very nervous about these regulators. Ofgem, Ofwat, all these people. Not the other off. I'm not going to go on about them because they're our regulator. But I genuinely think they're not very good. But when Thames Water were fined for the amount of sewage they were pumping into the Thames, you thought, well, that's fine, but they're about to open a super sewer in 18 months, which they've been building for the past 15 years. So you think to yourself, Thames Water are a disgrace, pumping all this sewage out into the Thames. You think, yeah, but they've already got the problem fixed. What you want to do is take some fines, which presumably the regulator gets a sniff of.
And our bills go up like 30-odd%.
Look, I think it's outrageous because I think...
oh, by the way, sorry, before you go any further, I should say, I think these utility companies are terrible. I think the regulators are terrible as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to necessarily defend them.
Like all of them, they're all in the same boat.
Well,
sorry, go on.
No, go on, carry on.
No, do we forget the time that everybody's water was dirty and everybody got sick? Like, I think what's happening?
Well, that's what happened in Salford. And it didn't happen.
No, it happened down south. It was a southern thing.
Was it?
Yeah,
Do you remember when David Walliam went to swim in the Thames and he got sick immediately? So it's not all bad.
Really?
I liked him.
No, I like David Walliam.
Anna,
look,
I met him once. He was very nice. He's a nice guy.
You're too old.
Bitty.
He had a lot of time for fans and stuff.
He did have a lot of time for fans. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Okay, Anna. Look, you're an avowed capitalist. What are we going to do about these utility companies where we were supposed to have brought in the market economy? There isn't any real competition. All there is profit. Now, by the way, I don't believe profit's a dirty word, but profit is the price you pay for competition, and we're getting none of the competition and all of the profit.
Well, exactly, and then especially at a time as well when everything's getting so much more expensive. This is going to directly affect families for a start, and especially when you've got, you're seeing like rises in council tax, for example, as well. I think they've also changed the rule about if you're living. If you're in a single person living in an rental apartment, you will have to pay the exact same amount.
Well, they were going to talking about that. I don't think it's happened.
Is that not happening?
I think they were due to, and they probably will in the future.
To be fair, if that doesn't happen, I think something similar will be put into place. It's all about taxing people more.
I'll tell you my criticism, Anna, of the regulators, and I don't know enough about it, but I know that the energy regulator costs us 80 million and the water regulator costs us 30 million. No evidence of any success, but it's like when Keir Starmer was the boss of CPS. They're doing their best. They're doing their best.
Can't we take it back?
But I want to ask Anna this question, right? When we talk about, say, the energy price cap, and they go, don't worry, there's an energy price cap, which we put up whenever the industry needs it to be put up, then it's a waste of time.
Well, yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean anything. And again, as I was saying, I just think everything's going to continue to get even more expensive. And I think with these companies as well, it is just about profit. And especially when you've got like multiple companies, they'll be competing with each other. And I think just especially at this time, everything's just going to keep going up, up and up.
And a lot of it, like, I know the French, I think it's EDF or someone, they own our electricity company, and they use it to subsidise the French people's, energy.
And Danielle, you got, I remember when we were presenting together, when we were presenting together, You mentioned about your food bill, and people castigated you online about the cost of living.
Yeah.
But the reality is, when you say it costs you £300 a week or whatever in groceries, for a family,
and that's just for her.
For a family of 6, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and wasn't just groceries; it was including basically, the odd takeaway. I was basically saying food is costing us
but also,
to feed my children.
You go to Fortnum and Mason, you know what I mean?
I do not. I'm a Lidl shopper.
I love Lidl so much.
Rob Lidl.
But on a totally serious note, right? You're in media and your husband's a footballer, right? So inevitably you're going to be considered to be on the wealthier end.
Yeah.
But A, I know you've struggled in the past, and B, I'll tell you the other thing that I think is extraordinary. How can anybody do well when the energy bill's gone up by it's not £300 a month. It's gone up by £300.
Well, exactly, and I don't know how people with quote normal jobs are actually surviving. This is the interesting thing about having the window that we had to live in Saudi. What I realised was people are paid and they don't have to pay tax, right? But what I realised was...
Just explain, because people may not know you. Your husband was the deputy manager of El Etifak with Stephen Gerrard.
Yeah, and went to...
So you lived in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, for a short time. But the point being, what I realised was the coming back to the UK as you do, like, I realised that people are angry because they're not getting what they pay for. And what I realised was... in Saudi, they're still getting the money back because you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for your schooling, you have to pay for your healthcare, you have to pay for your bins emptied, you have to pay for your streets cleaned. Everything is you're living like a compound, so you're paying for everything. But the point is, you are getting what you pay for, and that's where I think this country is. Its downfall is that people are not getting the service that they pay for because it's took out at tax.
They don't realise they're being ripped off. Yeah.
They don't realise they're being ripped off.
But Danielle, the makeup, there's a makeup girl downstairs in the studio bit of News
I could have done with her earlier.
Who does something that apparently a lot of Eastern Europeans do. When she needs dental care for her and her children, she flies to Poland. Now,
we
are talking about, the NHS this, the NHS that, and it amazed me when there was all those Southport protests and people going, they've got no teeth. Yeah, one of the things they're protesting about is there's no dental care in the UK.
Don't get me started on the dentist thing. Do not even get me started. It makes me so angry at the moment. We're travelling, we live in one place, we're travelling basically 45 minutes to a dentist because that's our NHS then. It's just a mess. And I just think it's really sad that we're at a situation where we've gone back to a situation where you can only have nice teeth if you've got money.
Hang on a second.
No, it's true. You can only have nice teeth now if you've got money.
I'm looking at this newspaper, The Independent. We cannot seriously be mounting a campaign to free that genocidal terrorist Aung San Suu Kyi. I mean, she's a disgrace. What took place?
She totally changed, didn't she? She was like freedom and the daughter of one of the freedom fighters.
What took place against the Rohingya Muslims while she was the president of that country is genuinely shameful. I'll tell you something. We talk about removing memorials to people and whatever. Aung San Suu Kyi, there remains a sign up in Parliament of when she is somebody who the political left have hoodwinked the world into thinking is a good person. And by the way, she could have gone to the United Nations and gone, I'm really sorry, I'm a puppet. I'm really sorry. You know what? I want political asylum in the United States of America. She stood up at the United Nations and publicly defended a genocide. Can I tell you, Hitler, Pol Pot, Stalin, none of these people stood up at an international body and justified the killing of their own citizens.
People used to say she was the Mandela, and she totally proved that to be incorrect. And I knew there was something wrong when she came out of her house arrest, and they said, who did you listen to on the radio? And she went, Dave Lee Travis, and they sent Dave Lee Travis out to meet her. And I knew she was a wrong un when she said that. And then just again about this horrendous story.
Do you know what? Can I congratulate for once the government of Myanmar? The Independent's gutted that this once prominent Nobel Peace Prize winner is now in solitary confinement. Good riddance to bad rubbish, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but so's the Myanmar government. They're all, it's just an authoritarian. They're the ones responsible for these murders.
Without being funny, not even Adolf Hitler turned up at the League of Nations or whatever it was at the time and said, can I just justify what we're doing to the Jews and Slavs and Gypsies? No, not even he did that.
Right, Daily Express, and it's again that horrendous story, Giselle's brave message of hope after horror, and it's a merry Wales Christmas. That's the Prince and Princess of Wales, and that's pretty much it.
Well, you've got 10 quid off at Boots if you want your number 7.
Yeah, they've all got 10 quid off at number 7. So
can I just ask you, just before we go to Mike Graham on the Breakfast Show, just very quickly, New Year's resolutions or what you're going to do this Christmas? What is it?
What have we got? I've got a Christmas present.
Who's it for?
Hey,
I'm thinking of taking up smoking again for my New Year's resolution.
You're thinking of taking up smoking?
Yeah, because I'm just not a quitter.
I don't do New Year's resolution. I don't do them.
Use your nails.
I know.
And by the way, there was another story we missed out. Wallace and Gromit. There's a new Wallace and Gromit. Oh, Wallace Gromit, new trousers or something. What have you got, Danielle? Come on, Mike Graham wants to say, I'll be joined next. Give us a ring.
She's opening a box of
That's different. We're in. Hang on.
Right. Can we just stop for 1 second and just say to everybody that Danielle Nichols has received a present in a box to News UK. I appreciate that this isn't the finest radio. It's cost
Humpty Dumpty, isn't it?
I'm not.
It's cost $61 to ship, which is about £50.
It has. It's cost $60.
Okay. Can you describe, Danielle? Can you describe what you've got?
Oh my God! This is a box of goodies. Is what this. Oh, these are good. My children are going to love these
Can
things.
you say what they are?
Okay, we've got candy, we've got American sweets, we've got these little... Do you know these Squishums?
Yeah,
the kids
I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'll tell you what we're going to do, Danielle. We're going to say this is the end of the press preview. Next up for those of you listening on the radio is Mike Graham. Okay, we are now back to just our show.
A sucking. There's a sock.
What's in it? There's something in it. What's in it?
What's in it?
There is the... Oh, you
Should we figure it
She
out?
sent drugs over.
Oh, don't you say things like that. You'll have me in trouble.
Nerds!
Look at this. More
Gloves,
sweets.
little gloves.
Oh, look at those little gloves. Oh.
That's very cute.
Vulgar American
This
sweets.
is all very lovely.
Thank you so much
There's
to
a Pez in there.
Hope in America.
And she appears to have knitted this. I think she knits.
Oh, that's very
It's a scarf.
It's been
There we
eaten.
go.
It's been eaten.
Oh, no, it's an LGBTQ+. It's a rainbow scarf.
It's not been done very well, has it?
Ideology.
What's it all falling apart?
Well, it might...
That's an insult, isn't it?
Maybe it's supposed to look like that.
A mum knitted that.
I have a New Year's resolution.
Back to the drawing board.
Actually, after New Year, I'm launching my own YouTube channel.
Yeah! Okay, back in Emma.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's me and Andre. You're watching Talk. We've got Danielle staying with us, and it's just all about your calls. 03444991000. Yasmin the Witch is back in a minute, but give us a ring, 03444991000. At Andre JP Walker, at Virtual Ash. Have you got your ears in, Danielle?
No, I'll put them in now.
Well, look, we'll go
I'd
and
love
get them.
to speak to Yasmin.
Well, let's start with Ken then. Ken, hallelujah. Ken.
Hallelujah.
Wagwan, Ken, what's going on, man?
What does Wagwan mean?
It means what's going on,
man? Get with the programme. So, Ken, yeah, what's happening, man?
If you'll allow me, I would like to talk a little bit about Christmas, but before I do that, I would like to explain to you what ethnic cleansing really looks like. They're saying that the Jews are trying to ethnically cleanse Gaza of Arabs.
Yeah, well,
that's a lie, of course.
Yeah.
Let me give you this. This is facts.
Yeah.
Since 1948, Morocco, there was 265,000 Jews. Today, there are 3,000. In Tunisia, there was 105,000. Today, there's 1,500.
Yes.
In Iraq, there was 135,000 Jews in Iraq. Today, there's less than 10.
There's a handful.
In Algeria, there was 140,000 in 2024. Today, there's not one Jew living in.
But I'll tell you what, there is ethnic cleansing in the Middle East of Christianity. The only country it's growing is in Israel. And no one talks about that, what's going on. I mean, even in Syria now, where we've just given them loads of money, they're subjugating the Christians right now.
Well, you know, in Syria, since 1948, there was 30,000. You know how many is there in Syria now? 22 Jews in Syria.
Yeah. And very often, Ken, what they will be is custodians of the final synagogues that are left. So it's not a real population, if you see what I mean. It's not a vibrant community.
And they're going about apartheid. Those countries are where there's the apartheid and ethnic cleansing. But as Gould said, always accuse your enemies of what you're guilty of.
By the way, I'm sorry to say, Asher, Goebbels is an estate in Glasgow. Goebbels was the propaganda.
I always get those mixed up. Anyway, Ken, what was...
is something you keep as a pet.
Yeah, I will.
Unless you're Neil Tennant.
Yeah.
I went to Tunisia a few years ago twice to give out Arab Bibles in Tunisia, and I lived in a town called Sousse.
You better be careful of doing that.
There's only one Jewish synagogue in Sousse.
How many non-Jewish synagogues are there?
There's only one in Sousse, and I think Sousse is one of the biggest.
Ken, why have you never been to, like, Israel and Bethlehem and everything? You know, you'd have thought you'd want to... And Jerusalem, because it's not that, you know, if you've gone to Tunisia, you could go up there and...
Well, you can open the door there and...
you just buy a ticket from
No. Can I tell you something, Ken? I'll tell you what happened to me when I went to Israel, courtesy of the National Jewish Assembly. So they're very, very careful about security, and you have to go through 3 layers of security, really. Before you can even check in, you have to speak to Israeli border guards in Heathrow, right? And anyway, I mean, it was really funny. We were taking photos of ourselves at the El Al sign, whatever, and this bloke sort of came over, and he had an earpiece in and a microphone on his lapel, and of course I thought he was a TV presenter, but of course he was their version of Special Branch. But when they worked out who I was, they said, we're going to give you a slight upgrade. It wasn't like to first class, but they said, we'll get you better seats. Thank you so much for being honest about our country. So believe me, Ken, they're welcoming, right? They're not what you might imagine, where they're going, oh, we just tolerate Christians. It's not like that at all.
Well, they take asylum seekers in from all over the world into
Well, we'll be there soon, won't we?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Christians are hated in Arab countries. It's a sad fact. But if you'll allow me, and God bless you, Danielle, I hope you're keeping well and all your family.
Thank you, Cam. Merry Christmas, by the way.
I would like to talk, if you'll allow me, a few more minutes. I would like to talk briefly about Christmas.
Yes.
I want to tell you this right now, that what we see happening, these Christmas celebrations, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, etc., worshipping a tree, they have absolutely nothing to do with the reality of the birth, life, and death and resurrection of Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God. Christmas is nothing to do with the biblical teachings of Jesus Christ.
It does in our house.
It makes a mockery.
And we go to church.
Hang on,
Christmas Eve.
Can I make my comment first? Santa Claus is, or Father Christmas is based on the generosity of St. Nicholas at the time of the celebration of the birth of Christ, where he wanted to give the local poor gifts in order that they could celebrate the birth of Jesus as much as he did, and he was sainted for it. So I think that's, whilst that's not biblical, I think that is a laudable thing. Danielle, your response, then we'll get Ken to come back.
Yeah, because basically in our house, it's our tradition that we go to church on Christmas Eve.
Yes, me too.
I love singing. One of my favourite things to do is to sing in church. You know, I've got a big mouth, so I love singing in church. And the kids know now, and the kids are like, that's part of Christmas to them. They're like, Mummy, what time are we going to church?
So in the village I come from, we would have the Nativity Children's Mass at about 6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we go to the crib service, it's called. Where
the primary school does the Nativity play.
Yeah, well, it's a crib service, so they essentially tell the story of Jesus in a way that the children can understand, and they involve the children. They have these beautiful little crocheted figures, and they hand them out around the church, and bit by bit they bring the figures, obviously, to make the nativity scene at the end, and each time they start the story, obviously, and then more characters come. It's a beautiful thing.
But Danielle, we'll come back to Ken in just a second, but I think what Ken's driving at is that if you were to watch the television, if you were to open the newspapers, if you were to listen to the radio, for the most part, Christmas is encouraging you to stuff your face with food, buy presents you don't need.
It's been commercialised.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So there's very little shows. I mean, our show, I accept, is an exception, but there is very little television and radio encouraging people to go to church over the Christmas period.
Yeah, I agree.
And we can't judge everybody by us.
No, I know, exactly. But also, in the same respect, anyone who has a child who goes to a Christian school,
which is actually quite a large number of people.
Yeah, I think that the schools do a pretty good job.
My nieces did a nativity. You know, they're not Christian, but they loved it, and it was really cute.
Well, I mean,
it is a bit weird now because they do take a slightly different spin. It's not your traditional nativity.
Do me a favour, Danielle.
Yes.
We're not leaving Ken out. We are going to come back to Ken. Explain the woke nativity. Or the new nativity. What are we talking about?
Well, to be fair, no.
Is there a hotel in Bethlehem with full English?
No, it's just a bit more like, so they'll have Mary and Joseph, but it's more concentrating on, I don't like the little boy who said he opens the door and stuff like that. They don't really do the traditional nativity.
And they have the three wise gender fluid people.
No, it's not like that at all. But
what is it like? I don't understand.
Well, they'll have like for example, a stage full of kings or whatever, or a stage full of reindeers, or a stage full of it's not the traditional. And then
so my nativity started with somebody, a kid with a little donkey face, running along with Mary and Joseph behind them.
They don't necessarily do that.
And then it's just a weird-looking kid.
That's still in the Catholic schools, but in the Church of England school,
one kid will say no room at the inn. Then they'll go to a stable. Then the three.
It's a migrant hotel. That's why there's no room at the.
It's a bit more like they do sometimes they do one where they visit different countries and see how they celebrate Christmas. So they'll say this is how such a body celebrates. Japan celebrates Christmas. Okay. It's quite lovely.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We've taken ages to reply to Ken, but Ken, I'm sure you've got a response to all of that.
Yes. The Christmas we see in the Western world today, and we know this in our own hearts, it's a money-making project.
True.
It's absolutely nothing to do with the reality of
it. Winds me up, that, Ken. It really does.
But even that,
because everyone's forgot what it's about.
Gone now. Even we used to enjoy all the Woolworths adverts and stuff. Now that doesn't even exist anymore.
We've forgotten what lies behind this story of Christmas.
Yeah, it's too much pressure as well.
Jesus Christ was born of a virgin in Bethlehem, Judea, to suffer and die for the sin of the Jew and the Gentile.
Might be a bit heavy that for a nursery nativity, though.
Hang on a second. Let's give Ken his opportunity, because we did spend ages replying to him. Come on, Ken.
Jesus Christ was born to die and give his life. He is the Messiah of Israel. He was born to give his life a sacrifice for my sin, the sin of every sinner in history, that you and I could be forgiven if we repent and believe in him.
Ken, just a matter of interest.
Son of God.
Ken, just a matter of interest. what does your Christmas consist of? Because I know that you're not a big churchgoer because you're an evangelical. How do you do it?
No, I'm a big churchgoer. I go to church on Sunday, but Christmas for me and most Christians is a time to remember Christ's love and mercy offered to everyone. It's a time to remember his death. You folks know this?
No, I thought we did that. I thought we did that at Easter.
You got angry, Danielle, when I say these things. The truth of the matter is, Jesus was born for a purpose, to die for us sinners that we could be forgiven.
Yeah. However, Christmas is not about his death, is it? That's Easter.
Well, no, okay. I have to be honest. Ken,
Jesus was born.
It was why he was born. That's the bit we concentrate at Christmas.
The problem is we're going to get into semantics. There's no doubt that the Bible says that the Messiah is born to die, but you don't celebrate all of that at Christmas. Ken does. I don't care because I think we've done this to death now. Okay, Ken, thank you so much. And as if to go the other way, I mean, right, Yasmin. By the way, for those of you watching on TV, if I look like an extra from the TV series Chernobyl, it's because somebody has rubbed red on my face in order to make me
You actually look a bit better because you've got a bit of colour.
Yeah, it's smudged around now.
I've got to be honest with you. At one point during this show, I looked like that girl from Girls Aloud. You know the one. You know the one that always has the big white face.
We know which one you mean.
Okay, Yasmin, the teenage witch, is next. Come on, Yasmin.
Manchester.
Hiya, darling.
Hello.
Hiya, Danielle. You all look fabulous tonight.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
I just feel as though with you, Danielle, there's something really big on the horizon. You're going to really be happy in about 2 months, honestly.
I hope so.
You are.
What are you feeling? Can you be a bit more detailed, please,
I
Yasmin?
feel like I'm in hibernation. Is that fair?
Listen, let me explain. What
Stasis.
you're doing now is you're using your energy to manifest. And remember, Danielle,
I wonder what she was doing before.
Who puts you down or ignores you, you'll see him destroyed.
Oh.
So don't worry about it.
The wrath of Daniel.
All right.
Really, before the saying, before February's out, you could have a massive transformation.
Thank you. I hope you're right.
Yasmin, when you look at Prince Andrew, what's the one word you're getting? I'm getting the word. I'm getting the word.
Yasmin, what do you do at Christmas? Because really, it's sort of Wicca and paganism is where the tree comes from, isn't it? And so, what do you do? Anything special at Christmas?
Right, Ash, you're amazing. It's a solar festival. It's pagan. They only brought it in to drag the Christians in to call it the Son of God. And the sun is the sun in the sky, and they use it to have oranges with cloves in, mulled wine with cinnamon to bring the richness, the oranges bring in the abundance, and it's all to do with sex.
Oh, Yasmin!
You jump naked over a fire?
No, hang on a second. Yasmin, I just want to be very clear. Surely oranges were introduced to Britain after Christianity. Right, they're quite hard to import, aren't they?
No, the Crusades brought the oranges and the clementines.
But during the Crusades, Britain was Christian because that's why we crusaded against Islam.
Yasmin, is it all to do with the shortest day of the year and all that, and now the days are getting lighter? To be fair,
the winter solstice.
Can I explain this? Being from the denomination responsible, the reality is that in order to convert pagan Northern Europe to Christianity...
I know, they smudged them together a bit. I know that.
We invented the idea that Jesus was born at Christmas.
Yeah.
Right, clearly Jesus was born at some point.
Every church is built on a pagan site, and you'll see the yew trees from thousands of years ago, where they used to have the groves and the druids, and they used to have sexual
I'll tell you, Yasmin, nothing strikes fear into the heart of a media company quite like seeing a yew tree. Let me tell you. That's an inside joke, isn't it?
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Have you got your Yule log ready, Andre?
Oh, I had one earlier. I'm feeling good.
You had a whole bucket of them, didn't you, Yule logs?
And remember, this year is really important because it's about bringing that abundance in. And it's also to do with having the candle, lit for 12 days.
We've got no abundance. Everyone's got not a pot to in, and we can't put a hate in on or eat. So it's the opposite of abundance.
No, it's drawing abundance in.
Right, well,
So what kind of a year? What kind of a year will 2025 be then?
We can't be as bad as the last few.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
World War
When
III.
you're looking at your year 2025,
Yeah.
Danielle,
Yeah.
the first thing I'm seeing is you're taking off of 4 wings. So you're taking off.
Well, that'd be
I
the
also
sprouts.
feel around you, Danielle, I got a vision earlier before I rang up, and it was that you need to do something like this. Go round interviewing witches that are from Britain and...
Oh, is this a prediction?
Like you,
She just
Yasmin.
wants on the telly.
all of
Freaking
that,
hell.
and getting it on video.
I reckon you should start interviewing witches.
No,
particularly ones from Manchester.
But I understand what...
Yasmin.
The documentary is something she finds interesting.
Yes, I think you're right.
And also with you, Danielle, you are going to learn about herbalism a lot next year.
Herpes.
Well, she knows all about. She's from Manchester. They know all about herbs up there.
You're going to write a book as well, Danielle, and you are definitely going to have your own podcast. You're going to have 2 podcasts, and I also see you building a studio in your garden. Remember I said about building a structure in your garden? You're going to do that. And that is going to be fabulous.
And how many people who've recently had a show cancelled are not going to do all those things?
Oh, my word. Are you...
Tell you something.
Am I staying in this
Yeah,
country?
everyone's doing that.
Yasmin, am I staying in this country?
You will always travel. You're like a butterfly.
I know.
You will always travel. I'm sorry.
What am I getting, Yasmin? It's all about Danielle. What are you getting for us two?
Danielle, the one thing I did see was 3 countries you're going to travel to, not 2.
Oh.
3
Well, that's not that hard. It's just one more country than she's going.
I mean, the UK, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. I mean,
For you, Andre, for you, don't overdrink this Christmas.
Well, everyone
here we
can
go.
predict that he's going to overdrink.
We're going to have a surprise interview to do, which is going to be interesting.
Well, that is a surprise.
I also see with you, Andre, when I'm looking at your energy, you're definitely going to move, and I get 5 around it.
Well, he moves about every 3 months anyway. I mean, we know that.
In 5 months.
Gets thrown out.
the revenue.
There's a place you go to, a pub or a club called the Oak or the Royal Oak Tree or something to do with oak trees.
There's a place near you. What's it called?
The Royal
Tell
Oak
the
Tree.
truth.
Andre,
The most famous pub in Windsor.
You always say you're going down the Royal Oak, down your local, but, you know, these are not very
different. This out on this message, darling. There's a man here with blue eyes who's going to be very significant in your life.
That's his dad.
And I also see with you, Andre,
Bloody tax man.
somewhere where you're going to be living, there's something to do with the boundary hedge. There's something to do a tree or...
No, it's his parking space.
There's something to do with the boundaries that need...
Can't you be a bit more... Why is it all a bit fluffy? Can't you be specific?
Oh, can I say
What about me?
No, hang on, stop everyone.
Yeah.
Well, she's going, I predict that Andre, what will happen to him is he'll get pissed over Christmas at Royal Oak
And
Pub.
fall in hedge after.
You need to keep your head about you because you're going to...
Because you're going to get this interview and you don't want to be drunk.
I also feel for you, Andre, I've got the
Chaka
clock.
Khan.
So you're going to be from one place to another very quickly.
Yeah, well, we know this happens anyway.
I also feel you're going to see a shooting star and it ain't a drone. The other thing...
Oh, it's not a bloody drone, because I'll tell you...
Don't get him started on that.
The drone got crashed. I bought the drone £600, and the second time I saw it, it was in pieces.
Be the Americans.
Oh, it won't be a drone.
That'll be the Americans.
It won't be a drone, will it? No. Right, we're going to a break. We're going to a break, because it won't be the drone.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and Danielle Nichols is also in the house. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate, because Yasmin, the teenage witch, wants to talk about Asher. Asher, the floor is yours.
So, yeah, apparently you got some predictions for me, Yasmin.
Right, what I'm seeing around you is that wherever you live in, you need to declutter big style. And I don't mean throw out family heirlooms.
What do you mean I'm a minimalist, man?
No, I don't believe you're a minimalist.
Neither does anybody else.
Feng shui.
I feel as though you have a lot of family things that you've never got rid of through association of being, I don't know.
What, so just chuck out all my family heirlooms?
No, I feel as though you need to organise yourself.
I don't know why you think that, but yeah, anything else?
I mean, let's be honest, it's a reasonable guess, though, Asher.
Yeah, anyone could guess that.
I'm looking at you. I'm seeing, I'll just say it, I'm seeing you in a black shower. So that shows me you're going somewhere, or you really like...
One of those dodgy clubs.
Going somewhere like a special hotel somewhere.
A special hotel?
A dungeon, it sounds like.
Asher's going to a sex dungeon for Christmas.
Within 9 weeks, you're going to have a journey or a change of residence coming up. You've also got victory over your enemies, which is good. And also around you, there's a lucrative partnership going to be happening. Around you, you're getting a present which is unexpected. I feel as though with you hold on to old things. You've got a...
He does. I've seen his last girlfriend. He holds on to old things.
You're
talking about James Wales.
Your life partner is going to be somebody with a very strong will.
They need to be, yeah.
Very big Willie.
Yeah, and that.
Within 4 months, I see you passing around you. You're very clever, Andre. I wouldn't believe it, but sorry, Ashley, you're very clever. I also feel around you there's a spiteful woman who's been trying to rag your mind up. Ignore her. She's just dried up and spiteful. I also feel around you...
How's your mum?
She's a dark-haired lady who's not true to you, said. I also feel around you there's a new investment coming in, which is going to give you big, big bucks. Do you know what I just saw when I saw new investment?
What's that?
You know them circle coin things, Bitty coin or...
Yeah, well, my mate told me about 12 years ago when they were 200 quid to buy them, and I didn't. Yeah, Bitty coin. Bitty! Yeah, so it's a bit late, but maybe. But, I mean, they're all... Yeah.
I also feel around you there is definitely an investment, but the first thing I did see was Bitcoin. So I don't know if somebody's going to give you one, start you off with one, or there's going to be a connection with that company and you, but it's going to be significant. I feel as though with you, you like clever, amusing women, but you have to be the man in a relationship. You've got to be strong and vibrant.
That is completely the opposite. You're a complete romantic, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, but he's got to be dominant. He's got to be a dominant male.
Dominant?
Feel around
he sits there like that going, all right, Bubba, I'll do whatever you say, love. Right?
Yeah, happy wife, happy life, isn't it?
You're going to have to help an older lady to sort out her estate. I also feel for you a good, successful partnership. That's good. I also feel around you. I just got one of you. I don't know how many sons you've got.
4.
Told me a son, and I feel as though he's moving away.
Yeah, good riddance. Good riddance. I've had enough of him anyway.
No, he's going to be moving away, foreign country.
About time. He's 37 years old.
No, I did see the Italian flag, and then I saw the USA flag. So there's something connected.
The mafia.
Yeah, he's Don Corleone.
Well, let's face it, you are connected, aren't you, darling? Yeah. I also feel around you, if you've got a house, get some of them, what they're called, smoke alarms.
Well, that's always good advice, isn't it?
Well, that's just the law.
No, this is serious. I don't think he's got any. I also feel around you
you do.
cameras. So wherever you live in, you're either going to get a new security system or something put in, and it's going to be interesting. I also get around you, Andre, which is really significant. You've got a fox of a male coming in who's going to be a bit more dominant. I also
fox of a male?
You've already got that.
Let me explain. A fox is something that looks good but can harm. So what I'm saying is, when it comes
like
to
ketamine
and connections, there's going to be either a red-haired ginger male, you know, ginger hair everywhere, yeah, and he's going to be connected to you. But I also feel he's a bit of a fox.
So what I can do is, so I'm not allowed to talk to Chris Evans. What makes me laugh is she doesn't let you go to get into.
It's flowing in her mind.
You're going abroad. I also feel around you. Don't know why. You've got a friend who's got a dog. That dog is something to do with your...
James Wales.
I don't know, it's just...
Everyone's got a friend who's got a dog.
Yeah,
I mean, really
you've got a friend who's got... No, Yasmin!
Andre, get in trim this year, darling.
No, you can forget that.
Yasmin, I'm going to make a prediction about you.
Happy Yule, darling.
Yasmin, I'm going to make a prediction about you. Right, and I'm going to speak to a dead relative. Okay. Have you got a great-grandmother who's passed over, Yasmin, to the other side? A great-grandmother. Maybe her name was Eileen or
I think Doreen.
Betty or Doreen. Doreen. Susan.
Have you got a relative called Doreen?
My great-grandmother was called Ellen Kelly.
No, but that's right. Eileen.
No, but with respect, I learned this from Derek Acor. With respect, you have got an older relative called Doreen.
Right. No. Right. Yasmin, shut up. Yasmin, please. Yasmin, I'm going to do a reading for you now. So your great-grandmother Ellen, she's saying...
by the way, I like the red candles because the claws. I understand it on your webcam. What's it called? That
YouTube,
podcast
right? YouTube.
What's that podcast you do?
YouTube.
No.
The Andre Walker channel.
The what?
His name, Andre Walker.
Yes. I saw the red candles and tell me everything.
All right, Yasmin, thank you so much. I'll tell you what we're going to do. The next caller, Robert, and we're going to do him his own reading, right? And I will talk to his dead relatives, right? And I will show you some of the tricks of the trade. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. We're going to teach you a little bit about cold reading. So the most important thing we're going to do is I'm going to tell you a few little tricks. So what you've got to remember is you've got to make statements that are fairly obviously true about people. Now, the key thing in cold reading is that they will make it real. So what you say is right, I'm getting a spirit through now. And this spirit, it's an older lady, right? It's somebody, perhaps your grandmother. Well, everyone's grandmother is dead when you get to a certain age.
And an old lady.
And an old lady, and you go, and she's saying there's a three. Number three, could it be three siblings or three brothers or three sisters? Right. Then they will come up with something. They'll go, she had three. She had three cousins or whatever. Yes. So she's saying the word. She's saying three. Now, what she's also saying is she's saying that you've had a problem with, is it your hip or your knee? And
the
you
arthritis.
Go, my knee's been very bad. She's saying, don't worry about that. That will be fine in the end. Now, she was saying something about soup at Christmas. Oh yeah, she always liked to make a broth at Christmas. Well, she's saying she remembers that fondly, and also is there a Richard? No, not Richard. A Ricky, a Rhiannon, a Rachel. So you go through all of those, and they go, well. There was a Reese, that's right, Reese. And Reese isn't with us, is he? Yes, he is with us. Oh, yes. But if you say Reese isn't with us, then you can say the yes or no and it'll be true, right? So the other point is Barnum statements, as they're called, which is statements that are fairly obviously true, but sound very specific, which is things like, what she's telling me is that you are often the extrovert, but sometimes when you're on your own, you have self-doubts. She knows that, and she wants you to just get through it. Now, that is true of everybody, because what you've said is you're both an extrovert and an introvert. You know, people think of you as being hard-working, but sometimes you feel like you just want to ease off a little bit and let other people take up the slack. You are both hard-working and lazy. It's just a Barnum statement is where you balance it out by saying two things, like sometimes you like to be frugal, you're seen as frugal, but sometimes you want to splash out, right? I.e. you're a normal human. It's really easy to do. Anyway, Robert is in Hertfordshire. Robert, how are you? Should we do a reading?
Well, before I'm going to give you a warning first.
Oh, right, you do me a reading. Come on, you give me a reading.
No, but I'm going to tell you, I'm an ex-member of the Magic Circle.
Are you?
I've been to various lectures from James Randi, who was the greatest.
He was brilliant. The amazing Randy offered $1 million to anybody who could prove that they could speak to psychics. I love that guy who could turn over pages of the Bible with his hands, right? And he just learnt how to blow very hard in prison without anyone noticing. So he said, what we're going to do now to our test is we'll put polystyrene balls around the book to see. Now, if...
And he had a metal bar and a tube, and he gave $1 million to anyone that could bend it. Him and Uri Geller really had you know...
Well, Uri Geller sued him because he once said of Uri Geller, he only knows 4 tricks, which, with respect, is true. But I always think...
I have seen him do that remote thing.
I like Uri Geller because I think Uri Geller is somebody who you know, it's harmless. He's not claiming to do psychic readings.
No, but he does believe it himself. I mean, I've seen him off air, and he once had a little family thing, and they were all going, "Oh yeah,
anyway."
Believe
anyway,
it.
sorry, Robert. My uncle was expelled from the Magic. My uncle, can I tell you? My uncle was expelled from the Magic Circle when in a game of I forget what it was, but on
Twister.
On a one-deck hand, he produced 5 aces on a one-deck hand, which was not good.
Now that's magic. Why were you thrown out of the Magic Circle, Bob?
No, I wasn't. What it was...
You didn't pay your memberships.
Well, listen to my accent, right? I didn't. They're very middle class there, and the first rule of magic is there's no such thing, right? So that's the first.
Well, you get thrown out for saying that.
Robert, can I tell you this? I'll tell you my favourite magic one is I could talk about this all day, and sorry, I will let you speak in a second. But I love the Martin Daniels disappearing woman trick, which I think is that he did on Penn and Teller, which is absolutely superb.
It's called a divorce.
Because there's the rug pull, what he does is he makes a woman disappear, and Paul Daniels is him. Right, it's hard to explain.
Martin Daniels' his son, isn't it, Paul Daniels?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Robert.
Yeah. Right, well, you know Peter Sellers, the actor?
Yeah.
Well, he used to spend fortunes on psychic surgery. Now, you must know what that is, when they pull your kidneys out and bits and pieces.
Well, he said, someone said to him, you're going to marry a girl with BE as the initials, and then he married Britt Eklund.
Oh, right. But I can do it. I mean, if I laid you out now, I can pull bits and pieces out. It's just an old bit of sleight of hand. But he actually believed it. He didn't listen to any.
Yeah, he was a bit of a funny, a bit mad, wasn't he? Oh, Peter Sellers.
Well, yeah. I mean, but my mum was a clever one.
Funny though.
But she gave it. Yeah, my mum was a clever one, but she gave it up because she couldn't see any future in it.
Well, I'll tell you what my mum used to do. Right, so I was watching the programme with Darren Brown where he did a cold reading on somebody, and he was just making it up, and he's very good at cold reading, as you know. And somebody came out afterwards and said, he doesn't know he's a psychic, but he is really. So my mum used to read the tea leaves, and what she always used to do was she always used to preface it with, I'm a Christian, I genuinely don't believe this, I think it's a load of old rubbish. However, if you want me to do the tea leaves, and then I just look at the tea leaves and I try and see what patterns they are and then read them for you. And as it happened, she was accidentally very good at this. But people used to invite around, not for money or anything, but people used to invite around to do the tea leaves, even though she would freely tell them that it was a load of old rubbish she was making up. And they literally would say to her face, you're wrong, you're psychic and you don't know it.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you what I actually phoned up for?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
Right, I'm going to use you two as oh, by the way, hello, Danielle, nice to see you, darling.
Hello, love. See you on Boxing Day.
I'm going to use you as two agony uncles, okay? I want you to, it was either phone you up or the Samaritans. Now, I'm a lifelong hater of Diane Abbott. I hate her with a passion, but you know what?
Why?
I seriously...
Now listen, Robert, you don't understand what's going on, Robert.
Yeah, come on, Bob.
Well, I'll tell you what, the way she stood up to Never Hear Kia yesterday, I was quite impressed. I felt a stirring in me loins. Now,
can I tell you something, Robert? Can I tell you something, Robert? Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Well, that may be right, but she whether it was all staged, I mean, I don't know, but I hate her with a passion. And but the other thing, quickly, is I don't know how you feel about Elon Musk. Well, I don't think he is a con man. Now,
no.
I received a message on my Facebook today. This is what it said. This is Elon Musk. I'm the richest man in the world. Blah. You've been picked. There's 100 people in this country. You've been picked. Now, it sounds like a scam. If it would have been anybody else, I would have thought it was a scam. He actually promised me £1,000 a day if I invested 250 quid. Now, I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's an AI advert. I've seen that. It's not a real thing.
Oh, well, that's all right. I'll tell you what, if you've seen it, then I feel better.
No, look, on a serious note...
Don't fall for these AI things.
Be very, very, very careful, because the problem is what it might have is Elon with two L's, so it might...
No, they don't even bother that. They just go...
No, it was him talking. No,
yeah, I know, but I've seen those. It's like, oh, you've got to buy this share and buy this Bitcoin or whatever.
Well, I didn't get that far. I got to that bit, and it said if you click off of it, you'll never get back on again. So to prove it to myself, I clicked off of it. And guess what? I can't get back on it again.
Yeah, well, he's not going to give you £1,000 a day. He's not the richest man in the world through giving people...
Also, just to be very clear of something else, the Financial Conduct Authority strictly prohibits claims like that. So a genuine investment company will say investments can go up as well as down. If they say, I've earned this amount or that amount or whatever, you've got to be very careful. Anyway, before Danielle Nichols leaves, let's play...
yeah, come on.
Robert, let's play... Thank you so much, Robert. Let's play the message from Hope Lamond about the lovely package that Danielle got, and that's not from Dean.
Hi, everyone. It's Hope from Florida. First of all, I'd like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Second of all, Danielle, I'm so happy that my parcel finally arrived. The rainbow thing, it's a scarf, so please feel free to wear it alongside your new cherry gloves all winter long. Andre, don't worry, I'm making something for you. I just have to find one more thing to put in your parcel. It's almost ready to send, but I think I'll be sending it after Christmas, unfortunately. But Danielle, please feel free to share all of the goodies you've gotten from this parcel with everyone at Talk and with Andre and Ash. So, with that, Merry Christmas for Rush Nashton. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye-bye.
Well, Hope, thank you so much.
Hope.
Danielle's taken a microphone off prematurely, so she can't properly thank you. But thank you to you and everybody else that supports us. We'll be back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, do you know what? These bloody wires are even worse than what they were before.
You're on your wire there, yeah.
Oh, I can't be bothered, I don't care. Right, OK, Cindy is in Michigan. Cindy, you're on Talk. By the way, I deliberately did that. Cindy is in Michigan. You're on Talk.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're all right, man. How are you? What's going on?
Oh, overjoyed. I'm overjoyed because today, the lineup on Talk, oh, my God, I was so happy. Christo, James, now all of you, and Danielle, I know she left, but seeing all of you together really feels like I'm with old friends or something. It's really a...
In the case of James Max, you are with an old friend. He's not very friendly, but you get cantankerous with age, don't you?
I've been smiling all day. Totally smiling, so this is good.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So you're not looking forward to when it's just going back to normal, then?
Well, I love it anyway.
Yeah.
But the presenters today, were, oh, my God, the best.
The dream team.
The best.
Yeah.
But, yes. And, it would be a dream, too, to hang out with all of you. That would be out of control, I think.
It would get out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going to meet up with you, if I'm being honest. I mean, no, I'm joking. Cindy, thank you so much. Paul is in Leeds, West Yorkshire. Oh.
Good morning, Andre and Ash.
Morning.
It's a pleasure to speak to you once more.
All right, man.
Now, do you believe, not that last caller, but the other caller, do you believe in table tapping?
Table tapping?
Yes, table tappers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, table tapping. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Mother-in-law, yeah.
There was that Bernard Manning, the Table Tappers and Shunters Club.
My mate's dad was the barman on the, you know...
Oh, was he? Yeah, it was a great show, that was.
Well, all right then. Do you believe in a devil?
A what?
A devil?
The devil.
The devil? Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's got to be one of at least one or two, haven't there?
I mean, I've met Mike Graham.
I've seen the devil a couple of years ago.
Go on.
Yeah, I do. My late father passed away. I won't say too much, but yeah. And it really blew my mind. It really blew my mind.
Your father passed away and the devil came for him?
Was he not... What did he do, your dad?
No, he didn't pass away. He just passed away this year. And he left me a fortune, right? And before he left, and before he... Okay, Ash, I know you might be taking the mick. I enjoyed the football tonight. Aston Villa's not there anyway, but never mind. Look, I'm not joking. I'm telling you now. And you see, God's... should have, don't mention God, the devil, because I saw it with my own eyes.
So what was the devil like then?
Yeah, what did he look like?
Well, I'll tell you what, my father, I shook his hand and there was two clamps that came up. You know the pressure points on your arm? Yep. Well, exactly, there were two clamps and I was about to pass out, and when I did, and then I looked at my wrist, I saw the devil. Right, I'm not bullshitting.
No,
I'm telling you.
No,
were you drunk?
So just to be clear, Paul, you were dying, and rather than seeing the pearly gates, you saw Satan.
Look, I'm not going into it too much because it's still in my mind.
Right.
Andre.
So is it almost like a Christmas Carol type arrangement where you saw Satan and you've become a good man since then?
Yeah.
A Satan? Who's a Satan?
Satan, the devil.
I don't know who the Satan is.
Well, all right, no, but what he's saying, you saw the devil, so did you change? Did you become a good man? Or not?
Well, I'll tell you what. My father he passed away at 88 years old. And don't you knock my father.
But what relevance does your father have to it?
Yeah.
I don't understand how your father fits into this.
My late mother says, I'm sure you've got the devil inside you, right? And honestly, he's passed the devil on to me, okay? That's all I'm saying. Good night and God bless.
I have to say that's so just to recap what Paul told us, obviously his father was a good man, but he was possessed by the devil. And unfortunately, the devil was passed on to him, but he expelled it through his arm when he fell down drunk one day. That's what I took from the story. And he saw what the devil looked like, but couldn't remember because he'd been to the pub.
No.
OK, Steve is in Walsall. Don't make that joke. It's become tiresome.
In Poland.
What can I do?
Oh, Andre. Hello.
All right.
OK.
Yeah, we're all right. Is that it? What?
No. I've just been looking up earlier on. I was looking at the salaries of CEOs in this for British Gas and the rest of them.
Yes.
I can't believe that the CEO of British Gas, his package is 8.2 million a year. Thames Water.
How does he survive on that?
I don't know. It's 2.3 million. Severn Trent, that's Liv Garfield. She's on 3.4 million a year. And it just beggars belief.
And the way they get away with it is they say, well, him in that water can get
million to shareholders.
Can I tell you the little trick? It's called an independent remuneration panel. What happens is, imagine that me and Ash are both CEOs of companies. Ash is the CEO of Thames Water. I'm the CEO of Severn Trent Water. What happens is, Thames Water, Asher Gould says, look, I can't set my own salary. That would be ridiculous. Let's come up with an independent remuneration panel, and it should be headed by the head of Severn Trent Water, Andre Walker. And then Andre Walker says, I can't set my own wages. That's ridiculous. We need an independent remuneration panel run by Asher Gould from Thames Water. And down the pub we go, if you put me on 3 million, I'll put you on 3 million. And if you do not believe that that's the way independent remuneration panels work, then imagine this. Imagine an independent remuneration panel that walked in to Thames Water and went, bloody hell, lads, you're earning a bit too much. Let's cut that in half, right? They would never be hired as an independent remuneration panel ever again. Everybody knows it's a scam. Everybody knows.
And they say they could get a job at that water company, which is paying $8 million, so it's just a load of BS, isn't it?
Thames Water paid £37.5 million to its holding company, Thames Water Utilities, in March. And last year, this year they've paid a further dividend payment of £158.3 million to a non-cash benefits.
Yes.
Whatever that is, I don't know.
Non-cash benefits. Well, hang on, Steve, do me a favour. If you say non-cash benefits, whatever they are, I can answer that very quickly. Yes, it would be shares, company cars.
Yeah, the pensions are amazing as well. They get
pension. So it could be anything from a contribution, a share buyback to a company car, anything like that.
The thing is, you see, you know as well as me, all this, what's going on with the utility companies, is undermining the country.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they put these sky-high prices on industry. They can't pay it, so they put it on what they manufacture. It all comes back to the consumer.
Yeah, well, look, there's no harm in profit as long as there's competition.
This is obscene.
Well, they're all monopolies as well in their own areas, you know, there's no competition.
That is precisely the point.
Yeah.
Bluntly, if profit is a motivation, it's a good thing, but that's when various companies are competing against each other.
This is obscene.
Okay.
They should never have privatised things which are monopolies. It's ridiculous.
The thing is, I mean, this government should take over these companies and get some stability in it. Because
well, I will tell you.
In the Labour Party now, it's a question if one of them knew why the Labour Party was formed.
Well, I suspect we're about to discover why it's going to be so much worse in the public sector, but I accept the private sector's been a disaster. All right, Steve, thank you so much. Heather in Gavan is at the end of the show.
What's going on? The world really is upside down.
Yeah, it's going upside down, round and round, going
I'm dizzy,
round
man.
there, going bonkers. It's going loony. It's absolutely bloody loony.
Right. Well, that's good analysis there. What further analysis do you have to maybe illuminate that more?
You got any predictions or anything?
Well, if I got my prediction for the new year is it's going to hell in a handbasket again.
What's your view on Sharia courts?
Well, my point is, if they cannot respect our way of life, our culture, and our laws, they need to pack their bags and get out of our country completely.
What about the BBC banning that great song that we've been championing here at Talk? It'll be freezing this Christmas. What do you think about them acting as the Labour government's propaganda machine?
Well, they should play the song.
And that's the first time she's ever given a one-sentence answer.
I was like shocked. We were shocked and stunned by that.
We were so stunned.
We don't know what to say.
We were so shocked.
Yeah, man. Is that it?
Yeah.
Anything else, Heather?
I want to say this to every one of you lot at talkTV. Merry Christmas and have a happy blooming New Year, because tell you what, it's going to be hell in the New Year.
So does that mean you're not calling us again till after Christmas?
Heather, thank you so much. I just want to say this Christmas to Alan Mabbott, a man that I've talked about throughout the show, who's been sacked by Kemi Badenoch. Goodbye, wipe a tear, baby dear, from your eye. I hate that man.
You do, don't you? So Badenoch's gone up in your estimation.
Badenoch has got rid of Alan Mabbott, so maybe the Alan Mabbottization of politics will end. Just to remind you, he's the dreary official who's been responsible for so many of the problems the Conservative Party suffered, stitching up in candidate selection, all these sort of dodgy dealings in internal party elections. But he's gone. I had a deal with Robert Jenrick to get rid of him, but Jenrick didn't win. Kemi Badenoch did, in fact, win. I'll tell you what, Lee in Manchester's calling. Let's put him straight through. Give him 1 minute, see what happens. Come on, Lee.
Lee, you're live on the radio and TV. What do you want to say?
Do not swear.
Hey, all right, lad.
All right.
How are you doing?
We're all right.
I want to say, Andrea, keep doing what you do for Maya Tusha.
Thank you so much.
What a legend he is.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He's got his own channel, Andre Walker, now on YouTube.
We all have to stick together, Lee, and thank you so much for your support for my channel. Lee, there you go. What else have you got to say? You're going to have a good Christmas.
Yeah, you have a good Christmas too, both of you.
Thank you so much.
I love everything about this channel.
Excellent, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, mate. Thank you so much. That's Lee talking about my YouTube channel. You can get me on YouTube. It's on www.youtube.com/Andre Walker. You can watch about why Kemi Badenoch sacked Alan Mabbott, which is a great and joyous video. You can follow him at Virtual Ash.
And him at Andre JP.